how the system works, then we could defeat it simply because we outnumber them. That's it. They can't, and that they can't win if they can't control us. And we are the us, the people. We are the ones that outnumber them. They're scared of us because even if a small portion of us would get together and fight against this, we'd win. And I know someone that knows this very well because she fights the Borg all the time. She fights the Carbell, the system, whoever it is to fight that uh, defeats the individual. It is Lady Liberty, Audra Market. Good day to you.
Good day.
Always a pleasure to see you.
You as well.
Oh, stop it. So I don't know if you caught any of that Cheever interview or not.
No, and I.
Yeah, okay,
Sorry.
yeah, but basically, he's running for president. I know.
Right.
Right.
I interviewed him.
Oh, terrific! When did you do that?
That was a while ago. It was, I'm not sure exactly when, but it was like within the last 6 or so months, I think.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Then good. That's very good. So
So I'm aware of like his.
whole
Yeah.
shtick, his whole
Right.
philosophy and everything.
Yes.
That's terrific. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, he was just on with Mike Adams, and of course, I have to listen to your interview with him too because I respect both of your minds and your perspectives on that. So that'd be, is that where can people find that interview?
That's on Rumble.
It's on Rumble. Good.
On my Rumble channel.
Terrific.
Yeah. So, I actually got somebody that I do well, she doesn't do them anymore, but it was through the worldwide demonstrations or rallies that I've been doing for several years. And she used to do them, but she started working with him and, reached out to me and said, you got to interview him. So that's kind of how that got set up. So I was glad that she did that just to, show. And so he's, got an interesting, what he says is true. Like you were talking about, it's really up to the people to, turn things around. And it's way more simple than people think. We just have to, actually just do something. I mean, and not just kind of succumb and, give in to all of the tyranny that is taking place.
Yeah, well, I agree with his, bottom up approach. We have become so accustomed and so used to looking for saviors.
Yeah.
That, we look for someone else to do it. I mean, even when she was talking about the unions and how they were bottom up and stuff at the beginning and all. But where was the last time we saw some major strikes or people, just from the workers themselves? We haven't seen that in a long time, in years. I hardly can remember when. I see it in the movies.
Yeah. Well, sad thing is that like during COVID times when the unions were actually really screwing everyone over and saying, they were trying to go to them and say, we need your help to like fight the mandates, and they weren't doing anything for them, just making them kind of comply with all of the stuff that was taking place.
Yeah, and so but so we've again, I know, and sadly, unfortunately, this thing that we're on right now has kind of kept us off the streets. It's kept us. It's two-sided sword.
Yeah.
It's helped us in one way to be able to communicate and organize in ways that make it easier to do. But at the same time, it's kind of like it's a tether. It keeps us attached to it, and we don't get more into the into this. We don't go out and do things
Right.
physically anymore. We do it through this system that the system is set up, this tool that the system is set up. And so in a way, it has kind of diluted it because you need that physical,
I know.
like, that's why you go to the meetings.
Right. Well, and I mean, I
know,
used to like even just the marches that I would do like with Worldwide or just on my own. It's like I was just watching some videos of that the other day, looking for some pictures of a friend that just passed. But it was interesting because I was like, man, I missed those days of like being in the street and everybody, fighting for freedom. I feel like it kind of dwindled out. And it's sad because I'm like, we need to get back to that. And I feel like we're going to almost be forced back into that. But those were, I thought those would continue and get bigger and bigger. And they kind of, I mean, you'll have some here and there, but for the most part, people, all the people that I was seeing in those videos, I'm like, where did they go? They're not really, I don't see them anymore. Many of them have moved. People kind of move on to different things. And it's like, that's kind of the problem with us. I mean, some of us, is that, people kind of, they just give up in a way instead of like pressing forward, pressing on and going, I'm going to continue to do this. They kind of just go like, oh, I got to go, do something else. I'm going to start doing this instead. And some of them like, it'd be like homesteading, which is good. I think that's good. And we need to be, figuring out how to survive on our own outside of the system. But also, the things still go on. And by us, kind of taking a step back or people taking a step back because it's like we haven't, but it, you know, all of that like momentum that was built kind of dwindles and it's kind of sad to see because it couldn't be more important to do it now. Like, and I say that every time because like as things change, things get more intense in different ways. It was, COVID that was really something that bothered them that they were determined to kind of stop or whatever. And even in that, I mean, they would, like I've said many times, they'll go to a meeting and then and tell them, I'm not going to allow you to do this. We're going to hold you accountable. And then the reason why these boards don't think so is because where'd those people go? You know what I mean? They didn't continue to like put fire under them and say, you got to do this. We're going to hold on to this. I mean, like keep coming and make sure that you do what you need to do. And when, people just they're like empty threats. So these officials are just like, yeah, okay. And then they just have the few that stick behind and linger and, just are a thorn in their side. But it's
Are you
just
a thorn?
interesting.
Are you
Of
one of the
course.
thorns?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's not, I mean, if that's what it has to be, like, just do your job. Like, you know what I mean? Quit lying to the people. I mean, like there was supposed to bring forward silencing the people through virtual public comment and evidently, and I'm sure it'll probably come out in some other form or fashion, but the president of the city of San Diego, Shawnee Rivera, was retracting that. And so his staff had said that um, they're no longer going to bring that forward anymore. But I'm like, you'll probably try and do it some other way. Yeah, that's my interview with Dr. Shiva. When was that? What's the date on that? If you scroll down.
9/27/23.
Oh, okay. So it's almost been a year.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's been like 6 months. I don't know time
Yeah, I
right
know.
now.
Believe me, I know how that works.
I'm like, how long has it been?
I know.
It seemed like a while, but then I'm like, I don't know. Time is just like warped right
Well,
now.
with all that happens, it says, nothing happens in 6 months and then everything happens in 6 minutes, kind of a deal.
Yeah.
That's where we're at now. We're so crunched up with so much happening in such a short period of time. It's hard to even reflect on what happened a few months ago. I
Yeah.
do that all the time.
Or even last week. Like, wait, what?
Or even this morning.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Is it, what day is it? No, it's Thursday. But yeah, it's just interesting. And I, again, like you're saying, people, want a leader. They're like, I need them to fix it. But and all while they're doing, saying those things and like trying to, put all their eggs in that person's basket, it's like your own community suffers. And, it's not that hard to make a change. You just have to be consistent and always like just you don't stop. And the problem with this side of the movement is that everyone gives up. Oh, I'm not seeing it quick enough, I'm gonna move on. Like you just that's not how things come about because you will always be
Tenacity and
disappointed.
persistence will
Yeah.
overcome the most clever of people.
Yeah.
I mean,
And even
seriously.
if you're just in the thorn in someone's side, it's like
Yeah.
you can make them mess up. You don't do it to go like, I'm just gonna go pester them. And that's what they were saying. They tried to spin for this taking away virtual public comment is, it's just impeding the ability for these people to do their job. And it's like, how are the people coming and commenting, like getting in the way of your business? Your business is our business. We're supposed to put our 2 cents in, which nobody does. And it's like, even if they don't necessarily, but you hold them to the flame, to the like, you got to hold them accountable. You can't just like, say you want this and then not do anything about it. And it's, that's why everybody wants someone else to come in and be the change that they need to be. And then, when it doesn't happen, then they can just be like, well, I can't believe they didn't do that, but that's their fault. And it's like, no, it's your fault because you're not, standing up and standing in your community and, being the one that shapes it. If you don't, then these, totalitarian, freaking, demons. I mean, you could name them a lot of names. They're communists, they're so fascist, social, whatever, are ruining things. And it's because everyone just kind of, I'm too busy to deal with that. Is it like the funnest thing in the world? No, but like, do you want the world to be a better place? I mean, of course, but it takes you like doing something, not just going like, I'm gonna, give this person a bunch of money and he or she, right, is gonna be the one that's gonna change the world. And it's like, but what are you doing? You know what I mean? If you're not doing something and you're just thinking that they are, I mean, I don't know. It's just that's why all this stuff they do works so well is because the people are just like, I'm too busy. I'm gonna go watch this film and
Well,
be indoctrinated by
that's
it.
the principles of keeping this republic as it was stated. You needed one, a moral populace, two, a
Yeah,
well-educated populace, three, a vigilant
yeah.
populace.
Nobody's
Well,
vigilant.
they've attacked all three
Yeah,
of those, and part of that vigilance is, and then they wear us down. Again, it's like I said, like I just mentioned, Napoleon. Fatigue makes cowards of us all. So they wear us down with things, when they control everything. But when you bring up, and would really, I highly recommend everybody, if you can, go ahead and get a copy of this book right here, Mafia Democracy. It's easy. It's an easy read. And it's not that long. And I brought up at the beginning of the show here how it's kind of a preference book to Whitney Webb's One Nation Under Blackmail, okay, which is 1,000 pages long with 2 volumes. And this one, the Mafia Democracy one is only just a little around 200 pages long. But it pretty much qualifies how our government is now a mafia, because when Audra or any of us go to our, go to
yeah,
the so-called representatives.
yeah. It's a mafia, complete
Yeah,
mafia.
yeah. This book explains how well those guys are getting a piece of everything that happens. I mean, they go
Yeah,
in, they're making money in the government. So they're making money and the government, they're going to listen. They have to deal, they have to make deals.
Yes.
When they build something, who are they? All right, let's say they're going to
Like
build a park, right? To make a park. Well, who are they going to go to make that park? They're
they're
going to
beholden
go
to.
to their friends. They're going
Hmm.
to go to their connections. And each one of them are going to get a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
Everybody gets a kickback. Well, who's going to supply the lumber? Who's going to supply the concrete?
Oh
Well,
yeah.
each one of those are connected into the system, the board that runs the government. So I'm more and more and more, and even Ryan brought it up earlier, an anarcho-capitalist is more and more what I'm leaning to, where we just don't need a government. Why should we have these people that are basically consigliaries or middlemen uh, that control our money, that tax dollars, our money, and shift it to the projects that we as people could ourselves uh, build. So in other
Yeah.
words, if a if a park were to be built, well, then we would, if we were like, say, have a system of government where you have a government website, we're all part of it. Every one of us can tap into it and put it on our 2 cents. And so someone proposes we make a park at the corner of, Franklin and Liberty, right? And if they say, okay, what kind of a park can it be? A dog park, a kid's park, and all the above, what? We'll have a pool, who's going to do the landscaping? And then as we're talking about this, we can have people submit bids. And what we would do is open source. This is all open source. Everybody gets to see it. So it's none of this contract behind closed doors in, kind of crap that we get now. And
Right.
we would pick the guy that do the best job at the cheapest price. We would do that, the people. Now, think about this, because we wouldn't need elections because we'd have no politicians. About the only election we would, if we were going to have one, would be to elect some quasi, head of the the executive branch to go around and tell other governments what we just decided to do, we the people, and to cut ribbons for the park and all that kind of crap. Uh, but I basically don't, now with this age of modern technology, the ability to communicate instantly, uh, I don't see a need for governments anymore. And I think that's the thing they're scared of. I think that they're scared of
Becoming
the fact that,
obsolete.
yeah, that they're obsolete now, and they don't want the people to realize how obsolete they are.
Mm-mm.
We
I mean,
sincerely do not need them anymore. We
well, I
can
mean,
rule ourselves
what are
through
they
this.
doing but destroying stuff? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
Exactly. Can you
they,
imagine a life with no campaigns? I mean,
these
seriously,
people can't, they live off of that. It's like,
thank you. Thank you. Can you imagine a life where, everything would be controlled by us, we the people, so we could say, like, well, why are we getting mushrooms from Mexico? Don't we grow mushrooms here?
right. Why don't we? Yeah. I mean,
I mean, can't we support our local farmers and then, make deals with other people in other regions that grow things that we can't, that in our region? I mean, why are we counting on a system that is antiquated, that doesn't really serve the people at all
no, just the
anymore?
stakeholders. That's what they always say. We got to talk to our stakeholders. And it's like, we should be them. What are you
Yeah.
talking about? We're the state, it's like, but no, it's these other and the special interests. Like they just kind of act like the people are they're these peasants, like they're in the way. We can't, it's not really about doing stuff for them. It's about, filling the pockets of these people. We got to do that. And then you just see nothing gets better. I mean, that's what's so sad. Literally, like with all the money that is spent on things, it's like And then you just see it constantly like it being destroyed. I mean, any business would go out of business. That's why the corporation needs to go out of business. And all these people, it's funny because they literally like they wouldn't know what to do. Oh my gosh, my life doesn't, I can't rule over the people. You know, it's like they thrive to do that instead of thrive to make things better. Like, and then they virtue signal, like, oh my gosh, it's so great. And it's like, no, it's not. Like, what you're doing is really bad. And, you know, how can you, like, just the decisions that they make, you know, and thinking and like, oh, we're going to bring in this shelter. It's going to cost like $1 billion for like 1,000 beds. It's going to be great. And it's like, no, it isn't. Cause you don't even know if, like, they just get into the most negligent, like business deals intentionally though. And it's like you can call it out, but it's like that's why we need more people to be standing up in that, because it's like, you know, if you know that that's what they're doing, why are we continuing to allow it? And then you continue to perpetuate it by going like, okay, we're going to vote somebody else in and then it's going to be better. No, it isn't. No, it's not. That's not how you fix it. And that's why I find it funny when people are like, elections are the only way to fix things. And it's like, is it? Because all it does is like perpetuate the problem, because you're like, they're going to come in and they're going to make it better. And then if they don't, we're going to vote somebody else in. And it's like, yeah, then how about instead of that, you don't have to vote anybody in. You just got to show up and be the change. You know,
Yeah,
instead you want
it's
someone else to do it
a
on a
game that
constant basis.
it's that chessboard they want us to play on. I say, throw away the chessboard.
Yeah.
We don't need the kings and the pawns and the knights and the rooks and the bishops anymore. All we need to do is talk to one another. It's even Dr. Shiva, as good as you know, he's talking about the ground up. He's still working on the chessboard. He still wants to be elected. I don't elect to what? We don't need you. We don't need someone else telling us what we need. We already know what we need. We just need to implement it. And to implement that, what we need to do is get together and talk. Well, how do you get together and talk? Aren't we doing that right now? You're sitting over there in San Diego, for crying out loud, and here we are talking. Hello. So can't we do that in the same way as a neighborhood, as a county, as a state? You know, can't we do that now? I mean, again, I don't see this thing right here that we're talking on could be the government. This is our government right here, us talking. This is it. And so the idea of even electing someone, now, even, all right, let's say we're building that park right now, right? We're building the park. All right, wait a second. All right. Well, how many people we got in our community here? Well, let's see, in this neighborhood here, right here, and you know, in this section of town, we've in district, whatever you want to call it, right? We've got let's say, well, 10,000 people, pick a round up. All right, we got 10,000 people, all right? Well, who here in the community is good at organizing? Oh, Sam's matter of fact, he's really good. He's already made a couple of built some community gardens and stuff, all right? Or he's been a park a ranger for whatever. Okay, well, Sam, what do you think? You want to go ahead and take over this, you know, be the head of this and start coordinating? Great. All right. So we could name our own people, and we could find people that would do it, you know, for free because they're interested in helping the community, right? Or compensate them in some way. But every problem that we have can be worked out on this system of just communicating with one another. I just don't see a need for government anymore. I don't see it at all. I don't see why we need it. The only thing I can see we possibly could use would be, you know, the Supreme Court or courts, in the sense that to make sure we're doing things under the proper constitutional, because I think the Constitution has some, you know, has the good premise of what's constitutional, but I think we need to revamp that too, because if we're going to do away with politicians, we have to set up also another form, a system of justice. that keeps things in check, where some of the premises of the Constitution are held to be, because I think there's some good things in that. It's like the Bible. There's some, excellent things. Well, that's where the Constitution comes from anyway. So the common law concept needs to be held up. But even we would control the courts in the sense that we could go ahead if we found a judge, let's say, but we'd have people courts too. So, but
We need like grand juries.
yeah, right, exactly. But if we found a judge that was, not being corrupt, well, we could instantly get rid of him then. We could work, again.
Yeah, but everything right, because everything they have in place like keeps these corrupt individuals in their position. Like, oh, you got to do. I mean, it's like, no, just you're fired. There you go. I mean, you can't just do that arbitrarily and like capricious, but like if you go in and there's like, they're not doing their job. But see, that's the problem. It's like that sounds like a really great thing to do. I just don't have any trust in the people that they would step into that. They want someone to come and do the work for them.
Well,
because nobody's ever been
argument,
used to doing it.
This is my argument against that. You see, what followers will follow leaders. But here's another thing about it. If indeed, let's say right now, this was the government right here. The people were the government. And if people knew they actually had a voice in what goes down, wouldn't more people participate in that? If they knew, well,
they do, and they don't participate.
Yeah, but
that's what's so
if
sad.
It was made so easy, all I do is click.
It is. Well, easy.
I know it.
That's what I'm saying. We already have something in place, and the people don't even use it. So it's like, to think that that would be their only option. They're just like, no, because I would rather put all, just think that this person's going to change. That's what I'm saying. It's like, we have, like, they couldn't, this is what you should be practicing on then. Like, to exercise those rights or duties as Americans, and hardly anybody does it. There is such a small few amount of people, and they want change. All the people that sit there, they want change. They don't want to be the change. And
but
that
when you say show up, they have to show up in person.
No, you don't.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't. You could do it like this. I mean, it's not with the video, but like you could call in. Just even listen. And people don't do it. They don't even know who their public officials are. So it's like, to think that you're going to put the responsibility. My point with
that is, like, they're calling into an official. Screw that. I'm saying bypass the official. If people knew that they had, because listen, so many people have given up on that because when they call in, they know they're calling into deaf ears. They're calling into an official that's already been bribed off, that's already been paid off. So they've given up calling in because they've been called in so much and nothing ever gets done because they're calling into a already bribed, already paid off, already pre-selected official that was not elected but selected to be there. And I was saying, if that person isn't there, that would stop their voice from being heard. And if they knew that now they don't have to go through somebody to have their voice heard, that once they got on this platform, they'd be on this platform and they'd be able to speak. And that everybody else would hear them, not just that one person that would block their voice. I'm saying, so that the more people were participating, they actually knew we could hear their voice. I'd be on like everybody here that's in the chat, we could look and we're hearing their voice. They could pop in and say, raise their hand and say, I got something important to say. So then all the people that would be in the system here in this government, in this city, we're talking about how we're going to build this park, right, would be here putting in their 2 cents. They wouldn't be going to Representative Stupid to, who's going to maybe just ignore not even see Yeah, because typically when you call in, you're not talking to the representative, you're talking to someone that's taking the message for the representative.
No, I mean, there it's like over the intercom, just the same as if you're speaking on the mic there.
Yeah. So the point being is they're not calling into a representative anymore. They're just there. We're here. We're talking about it. So their voices would be heard. If people really knew their voices would be heard, they'd be more apt to go ahead and, hey, they come home from work and go tap right into the old government system and go, what's going on? Well, how can oh, I got something to say. Or you could say it at any time because you'd be walking around with your iPhone. You could tap in and go, wait a second, I got something to say here about that. So the point being, there's no politicians. So there's nothing to block our voices to being heard. And and like everything else, like we're here talking, if someone came in and said something really stupid, it was a real bad idea, well, then, you just, they'd be shot down, they'd be slapped down immediately and say, no, we're not going to, no, I'm sorry, we're not going to put in bumper cars into the park, right,
I mean, why not? I don't know. I feel like we should have roller coasters and stuff. I mean, I
well,
make
we
it
could
fun.
parse that out, but I'm trying to say, what would be
I don't know.
something stupid to be put in the park? I don't know, mud
But
fighting.
who would determine what is and what isn't stupid?
Well, it'd be us, because just like right now, good ideas rise to the top, and bad ones fall
I mean,
away.
what if they really think that's a good idea?
But you see, the majority of the smarter people would be
But
able to make argument against that. Like
but then
me and you
there's
right
like a
now, we're
smart
making
class and
argument against we're parsing this out. This is a good thing. This is exactly what would happen in the system. So someone says, yeah, we want to put a mud wrestling pit in the park, uh, which would probably be fun, you know, but then people say, well, a mud wrestling park, people would get hurt or whatever. Well, they're going to get hurt anyway because, they could fall off
well,
the
why
mud.
couldn't you have then the best of both worlds? Because like then you're still having like almost like certain class of people that you would say are smart, right? As opposed to maybe somebody who's stupid or and whoever, I don't know who determines that. But like, why can't you have the best of both worlds and say, okay, well, you guys want to have that, we want this, so let's do both.
Yeah, as I said, compromises would be made. That's why I say it would be a governance of the people where compromise would be made. Because we could start out saying, well, this is going to be a kids park. So, and that's it. The only thing that's going to be in there is for kids, or it'll be a dogs park. All right, can we allow dogs into the kids park? Oh, okay. But as long as they, they don't attack the kids and all that, blah, 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 blah. So, these things can be parsed out and we work our way up the food chain with this. But I'm saying, I just don't, there's a way to do it. But the system that we have now obviously is not working for us.
It's not, but I also don't think people are holding these people accountable. So it's like it would just be like if something happened in this new world that we're talking about where someone's doing something wrong and you're just like, I'm just going to allow it to happen. There's nothing I can do. Because if you believe there's nothing you can do about it, then you're not going to do anything about it. But if you believe there's something you can do, because still like holding these people accountable to what they're doing.
That's the
And
magic
we've
word.
never
You
done
just said
that.
the magic
Nobody
word.
does it.
Accountability. You just said the magic word. Because no one is being held accountable now because they got the entire system rigged.
They do, but the people are also not doing their part. I'm going to stand on that because it's like we can make a change. There are changes that get made, and it can be one person who does it, but you like are constantly doing it.
No,
And
understand. I'm
it's
talking
giving
about
up and going, oh, I didn't see it today. Oh my gosh. That's like going, I'm going to, expect like instant gratification. That's the promise. People want it to happen instantly. They don't understand that it does take time. And of course, it would be nice. Like, I'm just saying, if people can't even do that and like try and, they're just like pushovers, like, oh, it's fine. Nothing I can do. Yeah, as long as you like believe that, then no. But you're telling yourself that. You're not going, I'm going to change this, because it is a lot of a mindset. And if you're like, I'm going to change this, then you will. But again, it's not going to be just like that. It's going to be over time. And, everybody wants it to be right now. That's why they think, oh, if I vote and I bring this person in right now, immediately they're going to make a difference. Because they said as soon as they get in, they're going to do this. And then when they don't, they're like, well, I mean, there's some things that so they couldn't. It's fine. Like they make excuses. And it's like, why not? I don't know. People are lazy. It's so
Well,
I don't know that in a
we-
new system, if they were even going to be the ones to determine it, that they would.
yeah, we've been
I
bred
don't know.
really lazy. I mean, over time. I mean, each generation loses a whole vast amount of knowledge that, like go back to the Great Depression when 90% of the people here were agrarian. Today, 90% of the people couldn't grow weeds with instructions. They've lost the ability to know how to sustain and grow food. It,
But
and
it's by choice, because it's like, oh, I
yeah,
like this technology. They're feeding, they're taking and eating up all the things that are being offered instead, and even like allowing, you know, I mean, what do kids learn in school? But they're like, well, I have to send them to school because I have to go to my job. Like they say I have to, I have to do this. No, you don't. You're choosing to do that. That's what you're choosing to do. You don't want to go through hard times just in case to do something better. Like, oh, I mean, it goes across. People acquiesce to stuff way more easy than you would think. Some people that are like, I will not do that. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, I didn't really have a choice. I like had to do this. No, you just
COVID's a good
don't. You haven't
example of
looked at
that.
the other options. You're, letting that rule over you instead of taking a stand. I mean,
Yeah, the COVID lockdowns are a great example of that.
well,
I
yeah,
mean, my hair was on fire, mad that people were just going, okay, I gotta close my business.
yeah,
I'm not essential.
yeah.
I gotta go home.
I can't even leave my
I
house. And it's like,
can't
yeah,
talk
you
to
can.
anybody. I gotta stay 6 feet apart. I mean, I had people, yeah, I'm sure, you probably did too. I had guys, turn around, look at me and step away. You're not 6 feet from me.
Yeah,
I says, well,
yeah.
why don't
But
you try to
imagine,
make me go 6 feet from you? I says,
right. But imagine if everybody was like, no, I call bullshit. I'm not doing that.
yeah.
Nothing would
And,
happen.
and not enough people did it. And I was out
No.
there. I mean, it was insane. I mean, it was, you just go back a couple of years ago and start looking at some of the
When we're coming
videos
back
of
into it.
some of the newscasts and everything, and everybody walking around with masks and stuff. It's like, it's so surreal that people went along with that crap, and every single bit of it was illegal. I mean, the government, there's nothing in the government that tells us that we
They're
have to
like,
close down our business or
no.
wear a mask or
But they would call
put
it a
something
law.
in our
You have,
arm.
this is a law. You have to do it. It's like, no, it actually isn't. It's like a recommendation and I'm good.
Yeah.
But if everybody, that's the education that people need, not to go to some indoctrination center that's going to give you a bunch of BS that you're never going to use. It's like, we should have been educated on,
And even
what
having
is
free access into public places where you'd either have to wear a mask or show the COVID passport, that is against the law. There should have been a
yeah.
gazillion lawsuits, and
But
nobody did
everybody's
anything.
believes that it's actually the opposite, that it's the law that if you don't, then they can come in and arrest you. Just like on the airplanes when they're like, it's a federal offense not to wear a mask. I'm like, that is a federal offense to tell people that.
Yeah.
But nice, you guys are lying to the people. But nobody is privy to that. That it's like they've been the indoctrination and the brainwashing has worked, so they believe what they're being told.
But
And it's
that,
like, that's why they send you to school, because they don't want you to think outside the box. They want you to sit down, shut up, and listen to your teacher and do what they say, so that they don't have any creativity. There's no like, educating yourself. They're just like, you have to learn this so that you can become a worker bee and you're not going to matter, But if we stepped outside of the system in that way, like, I'm not going to let you tell me what I need to educate myself on and start learning things like common law and really about the Constitution and knowing and understanding your rights and understanding that God gave these to us. They don't give them to us. They're just written down in that way. But they think, oh, I can give and take. If you just give me this, I'll give you that. Like, give me your freedom and I will give you what seems look like freedom. You know, like just sit here and, listen to what we're saying. And if you go again, but that's what I'm saying. If they're terrified of us, that's why they have to use fear and all this BS to keep the people, I mean, even poisoning us with things like fluoride so that you're just these docile people. You're like, I just, okay, I'm a robot. I'm just going to do whatever they say. I don't have a choice. And it's like, okay, let's quit believing that, because in believing that, it's destroying everything. And that's why if we knew our authority, none of this would freaking take place at all. Because people would step into that and be like, no, no, that's pretty funny, but nice try. That's why all these tyrants are like, love being up on those. I mean, it's ridiculous. It reminds me of being like a kid. And I'm like, oh my gosh, these are just like kids that just needed to run stuff. And they're just, crazy. They're like psychopaths doing it. And it's like, we're just allowing it. We're just like, that's fine. I got to worry about this, worry about that.
Yeah.
Like, let's let them keep printing money. Let's keep paying taxes. You don't have to. Yeah, I do. I'm going to be in trouble if I don't. Okay. How about you test the waters and make sure that that's so, just because that's what they told you. They're allowing allowing the fear to seep in so that they can do whatever they want. And that's all they have to do is just make the people afraid. And fear makes people do the stupidest things, like, inject their children with things, like put a mask on your kids, like send them to a place where there's pedophiles. Like, what is going on? It's like, I want to shake everybody and be like, wake up. I mean, look, there's an invasion happening. We have all these children go missing. And it's just like, that's not real. Okay, well, whatever. But in your inability to accept reality, nothing ain't ever going to change. Because you want to sit here in this fictitious world with all these fake constructs, with these people telling you what to do. And you're just, okay, I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. All life is about choices. And what you choose. Do you go right or left? You can't go like, well, I don't have a choice. Yeah, you do. You just may not like the choice you made. And you don't want to admit that because it might have been, per se, a wrong choice. But is it a wrong choice, or is there a lesson to be learned with doing that? It's like everybody would rather be like, I'm like that enslaves you. Step out of the prison cell and walk into the light and understand that there is so much more out there. You're just choosing to be saying that. I don't have a choice. I don't have it. Yes, you do. You do. There's always a choice. That's why we have free will. It's called free will for a reason. And people choose to do the wrong thing with it, so that they then can blame others. Well, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. I had no choice. All right. Well, you have a choice to even believe that or not. And it's like, I just quit living in that space. Quit living in what they want you to. Like, it's so freeing not to. But it's like if more people did it, that's when change would come, and it could be like super sweet.
Fear itself.
Yeah. Yeah, like people choose the fear.
Killing agenda. Yeah. Another good
I'm going to
book.
choose to be afraid. I'm going to choose to let them make me think like I have no choice.
Yeah.
And then I'm not to blame. And it's like, no, yeah, we're all to blame. Yeah.
Always come back.
You can't go like, oh, it's just Biden. No, you're allowing it. We've been doing like, we continue to play the same game. We're going to vote and somebody else is going to get in and it's going to be better. How many times has that happened? Like, and then, oh, well, I'm going to vote anyway, even though I know there's cheating. We have to vote. You have to. Do you? Or could you make a stand by saying, until it's this way, we're not going to vote? I don't care what you do. But instead, people are like, I'm going to go vote early and I'm going to give them every
Well,
opportunity
the
that
only
they
other
need in
option
order to
there
change.
is if nobody voted, if everybody just
That's
didn't
what I'm
know,
saying.
you know,
I'm not voting until this is
yeah.
how it is. We'll vote like this, but I'm not going to use your mail-in
But
ballots.
then,
I'm not
you
going to
know,
use your machines. You're going to figure out, you're going to make sure that you take my ID. You're going to make sure that you don't let any illegals do this. But instead, there's like, no, I don't have a choice. I have to do it this way. We have to let them do this. We don't have a choice. We don't, it's out of my hands.
yeah, but the problem, of course, with that is the same problem we were talking about earlier. You even brought up yourself, is like getting people involved to do it.
That's what
You
I'm
know, how
saying.
many people would show up to do it? I mean, they would right now.
If you,
So, but that here's the deal with this, and people are going to like to hear this. You're not going to like to hear it, but it is what it is. Eventually, and probably very soon, probably sooner than later, the system will correct itself by collapsing, and a good many people are going to die. And when I say
yeah,
a good many, I mean a vast majority. And what we build out of that, those of us that survive, what we can build out of that is going to determine whether we're going to live in a truly free world, not just a society, but a truly free world and society. And it's these ideas that we're planting now, because right now, to try to implement this, it's sort of like trying to take down the mafia without having in any way any enforcement to do that. You know, because the mafia has infested everything. They've infested every part of our, you know, your neighborhood, the businesses, everything. So unless you just all secretly get together and wipe out the entire mob itself, uh, without them, you know, you have ambushed them and get it out of them. That's the only way out of this I can see. It's going to there will be blood. I
yeah.
can't see a way that the system is going to allow us to actually see the world we would like to live in without violence. You know, I
But
just
yeah, they
can't.
won't go without putting up a fight. That's the sad thing, is that we will.
Yeah, yeah. I
I'm
mean,
just gonna, like, they don't give up. They're like, okay, well then they will fight to the death to make sure their system stays in place. All other people go, I don't have a choice. I have to just succumb to this. Okay.
yeah,
Literally, if that's what you believe, that's what you get. And so, yeah, it's going to take that, because I think that's the only thing that will wake everybody up and make them see the error of our ways that led us to that. Especially, like, I mean, with all the evilness running rampant, it's like, yeah, Jesus ain't going to cleanse our land when we continue to live in such darkness here. And so that's by choice. And in our choices, there will be reaping from the sowing.
yeah.
And
And
that's
even
not what
Dr.
people are
Shiva,
going to like, but that's what's going to happen. And it's like, hopefully that will make people change their ways in the future and go, I'm not going to allow this anymore. I'm not going to say I don't have a choice. I'm going to choose to do what is necessary to make sure that my children have a world to live in. Instead, I don't have a choice. I got to do this. And it's frustrating, because it's like, do you wonder why it is the way it is? It's not just these people doing it. It's the people allowing it.
yeah.
And
Mike
in that,
Adams
it's
brought
like
up the point
there's
that,
consequences.
Mike Adams brought up a point that, you know, our founding fathers put this system together so we could have changes from the ground up peacefully, that we could have these, you know, these groundswell ideas and things come up through the system of government that they set up, and it be done peacefully. Of course, over time, through our neglect, the people's neglect, again, you know, have to be vigilant. We weren't vigilant. We've lost our morality. Um, Education, of course, like you've been reiterating, people don't know, they're not educated into what their powers are. And even when they are, they don't exercise them because they feel
Right.
frustrated, because the system, through our negligence, has become so corrupted. It's like, well, how do you seek justice when the justice system itself is corrupted?
Right. You don't. But we've allowed it to get to that.
Yeah. I mean, you
But it's
got
been
minorities.
generational too. It's like,
Yeah.
everyone just kind of stepping back and allowing these people to do that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's sad because it didn't have to be this way and it doesn't still. But in like, I mean, say like with
I would
voting.
argue that it has to be this way because that is the nature of things. And I know what you're saying. It doesn't have to be this way, but it's almost always inevitable because it is the nature of us. It is the nature of us to always kind of like drift in to this complacency that would breed the corruption that breeds the oppression. We always seem to do that because when we get comfortable, if we do become successful, if we have that freedom and we build on it, it's in our nature for us to become comfortable. I'd rather go. I want to go. The ball game's more important to me than who's running for office. And
Yeah, and if they understood that was rigged, it's like,
yeah, indeed.
I mean,
That's another thing that's brought up in this book, Mafia Democracy,
yeah.
how the mafia would fix the games and, then,
But
so
then you
it's,
just spend so much money just throwing it at it for nothing. It's like, oh my gosh.
yeah, yeah. So all distraction, all
That's
people.
why they have all those things, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's the Roman Colosseum writ large, you know, keep the people happy, freedom. There were games going on in the Roman Colosseum when there were barbarians right outside of their arena invading.
Yeah,
they,
because they're like,
they
don't
were
pay
the
attention.
barbarians were
Don't pay
coming into
attention.
Rome, and there were games going on. People were in the arena going, "Yay!" Lions tear up those Christians, yay! And that's how bad it gets, and that's
Yeah, and that's
essentially
how
what we
well
have
that
now.
works, right?
Yeah,
Oh, there's like we can't have them seeing that. Oh my gosh, if they saw that's why they do a lot of, you know, different things at the same time. They're like, okay, we're gonna have them see this so that we can do this, and they won't even know it, And it's like, but that's the thing with voting. Like, yes, it's important if it matters, but like if it doesn't, wouldn't it be more important to go, I'm not gonna do it until it changes? That's like, you know, I don't know. I mean, just allowing the most stupid thing and going, well, no, it's better to just do it. Yeah, but then years pass and nothing gets done, and people make all these promises. Yeah, we're going to reform the election. No, you're not, because you're not doing anything to do that. That's why it would take the people to go, okay, and especially like have it be on. It's only one day, right? Have everybody show up on one day, even if they sent you a mail-in paper ballot, whatever. Have everybody, but that's the problem is nobody can join together and do this kind of stuff. It's like people are too like it's like herding cats. You can't just for some reason, have people do something where it's like, okay, if it's on one day and they sent you that, go, we're ripping up this mail-in ballot. You're not going to be able to use it. And here's my vote. This is how we're all going to vote. We're all doing it this way. So you can't be like, well, then we're not going to have an election. Like it would be the people that determine it, but it takes the masses to do it. That's why they're terrified of us. That's why they do so many things to make sure that the masses are dumbed down, complacent, fearful, and inactive. Because if we were active, we weren't complacent, and we stood in our authority, I mean, they would be like, oh my gosh, okay, well, we have to do this because we don't have a choice. I mean, and
I
then
want to
that,
get your
whatever.
take on something because you were intricately involved, like back, when Deacon was, and
Very good with
we
no
were all,
choice.
involved
Yeah.
in trying to get candidates on the ballot there.
Yeah.
And so you were intricately involved with that.
Yeah.
Deeply involved. There was a segment I played earlier on band. I'm just going to play a small portion of it here and get your take on it, because I want your take on what you ran into, the roadblocks you ran into, that we ran into, because I was intricately a part of it, on getting these people on the ballot, and how the shenanigans they played to keep those constitutional candidates off the ballot. And then even if they got on, what they did to make sure that they didn't get elected. So I'm just going to play this short, and I highly recommend that this was a segment of the War Room yesterday on band.video. And to listen to this whole segment, it's about maybe 45 minutes or 50 minutes long, because I mean, it's going to hit home with you.
Yeah.
But I just want to play this and then get your take on it, because it's I wanted to. I thought about playing it, while you were the whole thing while you were on, but there's so much to talk about and so much to do. But here's just this part of it.
Such consistent answers when you have Don Lemon going out there and approaching people in the community, begging, praying, hoping, wishing that people would say that they're actually supporting Kamala Harris, and yet even his videos that are being uploaded are showing that there's astronomical support for Trump. The only hope they have is stealing this, and all the polls that we're seeing publicly are lies. I think they are shaking in their boots internally. Even David Axelrod, until recently, was kind of reeling on CNN regarding some of the numbers internally. And we'll show you some clips after we have these guests throughout the next hour, where CNN's Van Jones panics, saying that it's scary Kamala is still, quote, tied with Trump despite all of the positive press, admitting that the press is an arm of the Democratic National Committee, an arm of the Democratic Party, an arm of the Kamala Harris campaign. So they don't have to report in the financial reportings for these campaigns that the mainstream media, the legacy media, the corporate press, the private political press is giving contributions in kind. So Corinne is an independent journalist on X based in D.C. She's the host of the America Happens News in Florida to investigate the election corruption happening in Florida primary. And so I want to talk to you for the first 5 minutes to kind of introduce this segment or section of the show, Corinne, that we're going to be going into. Thank you so much. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to speak with you. I'm going to kind of give you the floor and allow you to set the stage. And please just understand that I am as unaware of what is going on as our audience is. So educate me as if I have no context here, and then we're going to dive right in and get the story out there.
Chase, I am so grateful to be on. Chase, I'm so grateful to be on. Yes, I'm so grateful because, InfoWars has the courage to do the story when most other channels don't. So thank you, Alex Jones. He's one of the greatest men alive. Listen, I stumbled onto this story because I'm based in Washington, D.C., and Congress is out on November 9th. So I decided to go to Florida because the Florida primary was yesterday, August 20th. And I'm really in shock because Florida is supposed to be the gold standard of elections. So I thought I would come to Florida and just study the primary in like 5 different counties and try to figure out, just bits and pieces for what we need to know for November. Because this all is going to end up in November. We may have a crisis where President Donald Trump can't win. Just in Florida, 1.2 million new voters have been registered, and we don't even know what's going to happen with that. So what I did is I chose to really focus on a very specific election in Florida. It's for the Supervisor of Elections office. And I chose to focus on America First candidates, Republican upon Republican primary, just to try to keep it as simple as possible, Chase. And it has gotten so complex. Every single day I get a new whistleblower from a different county in Florida telling me some serious election fraud that's happening. So the guests that are going to come on, I've picked about 8 of them. They're each going to tell you a little piece to the story, but basically where we're at now is I don't think that the Florida primary should be allowed to be certified. I think that there is so much fraud happening in the Florida primary that we need to really take notice of this, because it will affect every single state. And this is going to become a federal issue. One of the guests we're going to have on in the end is running for supervisor of elections in Palm Beach County, and he's already filed a federal lawsuit. He's getting Judge Eileen Cannon. What I'm worried about is that there are non-citizens registered to vote. Are they voting? In Collier County, Florida, they found 2 non-citizens who voted in 2020. We've seen videos, we've seen the pictures, Chase. We know that there are non-citizens getting registered, but we're going to find out with the first guest I'm going to have come on today. His name is Christopher Gleason. He's from Pinellas County. He ran for supervisor of elections. He lost yesterday, of course, but there was a complete outage of the whole system for about 24 minutes. In certain counties, in Hillsborough County, I have a Republican woman telling me that the election workers there told her she could only vote Democrat. In Charlotte County, Florida, I actually had so much interaction because that's where I started this. I'm seeing electioneering. I'm seeing the actual person on the ballot touching the ballots, counting the ballots. I'm seeing so many different violations and fraud happening in Florida. This all goes to Governor Ron DeSantis. It's his fault that this is happening. He's established an 800 number, doesn't get anything done. You're supposed to go to your local sheriff and say if you've seen any fraud happening. I actually have poll workers who weren't hired this round for the primary yesterday because they were.
Corin, we have to go to a quick break here just because we have a radio audience. I want to keep you for a few minutes after the break. It's a 60-second break because this is absolutely blowing my mind. Stay with us, please. Thank you. Welcome back to the War Room, ladies and gentlemen. We have Corinne Clifford with us, breaking this amazing story about what's going on with this election in Florida for supervisor of elections, which my understanding is that this is a state-level position and obviously imperative in terms of supervising elections. So my question for you about this, and I know we've got the list here of all the guests that are coming on. I've read the bios. I'm familiar with this. My question is, what is different about this supervisor of elections election cycle than previous ones like in 2020 or 2016? Because I believe in 2020 Florida did go to Trump, and I think in 2016 it did as well. So traditionally Florida has kind of been seen as, yes, very competitive, definitely a swing state. Obviously the hanging chads issue 25 years ago was incredibly important, but it's not come off really as a stolen state yet, right, in the same way that others have. So can you kind of provide some context about what is concerning to you about this cycle compared to the past, or has it always been corrupt and now we're just realizing it?
It's always been corrupt and now we're just realizing it. But what I'm really seeing is fake Republicans, the rhinos. They're probably Democrats. They act like Democrats. I'm seeing America First candidates not able to win anything. I'm seeing the rhinos actually using taxpayer dollars in Florida to fund their own personal campaigns and pursuits. I'm seeing so much corruption. I just focused on 5 counties because I've only able to be here since the first week of August.
Are these counties traditionally Republican or Democratic counties?
Most are 100% Republican. Florida is supposed to be a Republican state. I only interview Republicans. But what I'm finding out is that a lot of these candidates were selected, not elected, by Governor DeSantis, and we all know that he's a rhino. And at this point, I think that the Governor DeSantis is the real problem because he's allowing selected people who are not.
Tennessee had some similar problems with that too. I know Robbie Starbuck, who's been revealing some of the amazing things happening with DEI policies inside companies like Harley Davidson and Tractor Supply and others. And he's actually caused enough of a hubbub to get these companies to reverse these diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. It's been amazing what he's been able to do. But he was trying to run for office in Tennessee years ago, and the state party basically nixed it and just said, nope, sorry, you're not selected. Corin, I've only got limited time, so I want to get to some of the other guests that we have on the list because I want to try to give everyone.
So does that kind of sound familiar to you?
Yeah, it does. And I was going to say real quick is that, even after the election takes place, there's things people can do to go watch the process and put heat in the room of making people go like, we better mind our P's and Q's, and then, make sure they don't certify these elections. But it's like everyone just kind of does the voting, then they just kind of go away. And then later they're like, oh my gosh, there was cheating again. well, duh, you know what I mean? So that's part of the problem. And I think, they do whatever they need to do in order to keep out the people they don't want in there. Right. And it's like, I mean, a lot of it, I mean, it shouldn't cost so much money to even just run, like it should be something that anybody that wants to, that has, like, and still, obviously, it would be at that point, the people, or whether or not they're receptive to what you want. But it's like, I mean, the money that comes in and out of it is what shapes it and what, dictates which way direction it's going to go. And that shouldn't be the case.
And I also
We should,
remember a lot of the hoops you have to jump through just to
yeah,
get on the ballot.
right,
All
right,
these different, that, and of course, every time and time and money, right,
right.
would dictate. And
And
then
that's
I
why they'll put
remember
money
one
in
time,
some,
wasn't there, they sent out the ballots and our candidates were, oh, it was a glitch. They weren't on the ballot.
yeah, they always make some excuse, but they still allow it to happen instead of going, I need a ballot that's actually correct. Right. Or even
Yeah.
they'll send out triplicate ballots here and then say, oh, well, we're only going to count one. Obviously not, but, or which one is that? The one I'm voted on, or the one that you wanted to use to take the vote and do whatever you want with? And it's
we'd
like,
expect this kind of shenanigans in California because, it's right, it's
yeah,
California, but it's Florida. In Florida, which is, supposedly like, she says it's supposed to be the standard bearer for the election. It's red state, it's Trump country. And yet then that was only 8 whistleblowers she has here. She
right,
says there's 25 of them she could have put up on the show. So there's, and this just in 5 counties that that
right.
she went ahead and did the investigation on in that short period of time. So what could she find out if a real investigation were done on the corruption there throughout the entire state, not just those 5
Right.
counties, but you'd pick the counties that would be the most, the most influential, the most populous ones that usually would control the whole state. So, but DeSantis himself signed a bill making it mandatory to vote on e-voting machines instead of taking them away. Now, you're familiar with every year they have the black hat voter hackers in voting machines, and every year they hack into the voting machines in like a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
A minute or so, they're into the voting machines, or
And they're just like,
and every year, this is never publicized. It's never mentioned. None of our representatives bring it up. None of us say, well, gee, look, this whole report come out. Look at all these hackers, got into the machines and they changed the vote right in front of you, right? And none of them ever say we need to get rid of these voting machines. We're still
because
voting on
also, like,
machines.
if they're in place, if they were supposedly voted in, they don't want to go like, oh, well, if you go and fix that or see if there's something wrong, then I could possibly be out of the seat and I just really want to stay here.
Now,
That's the
here's
problem, is like
scary
nobody
part.
has any integrity.
Yeah, well, indeed. But here's the scary part, and this is what I see coming. Ratskin, old Senator Ratskin, right? You remember about 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, he got on a program and said, well, we're not going to certify the election if Trump gets in.
Right.
Now, I think is what he'll do, that's when he'll bring up this Black Hat Convention and saying, see, we got this report here that these machines could be hacked. And that's why. And I can even go back to in the 2000 election, it was a guy named Clive Clement, or I think that was his name, Clive Clement, who was approached by the Democratic head of Florida at the time and said, look, we think the Republicans are going to cheat in this next election. And these machines that they come out now with, because it's basically the e-voting machines are just coming out back then, right? They weren't as widely used as they are now, but he says, if they cheat, we want to find out how they would do it. So we want you to write a program that would be able to change the votes in these e-voting machines. So we
Yeah,
did.
that's what they have. They have a program in them
Yeah.
with the back
So we
door and
wrote
a
this
front.
program that you could walk into the booth and punch a certain series of numbers in the machine or letters, whatever the hell it would be. And you could hack in and change the votes. And he gave it to the head of the Democratic Party there in Florida. And as time went on, he didn't see any feedback on it. He didn't. Then he started seeing his system being used against the Republicans so he blew the whistle on it. He even testified before Congress and said, "Oh, my name is Clive Clements. I made this program. This is how it works. This is how easy it is to hack into the system." That thing was done. And then and here's the cherry on the cake. He ran for office in Florida to do away with the voting machines, get fair elections, and was defeated. Below.
Right.
So
that's what I mean. It continues like year after year after year after year after year after year. And that's what people keep playing the game. So it's like, I mean, if somebody's always cheating in poker, do you still want to play when they just took all your money? You'd be like, I'm not playing this anymore.
Yeah. If you knew the
like, I'm done. Do you know what I mean? But in the game of life, everyone's just like, well,
they
it's
got
just
this thing out,
easier.
right? All right, beat the cheat by overwhelming it, which is okay. So here's this scenario right now, and they have the Don Lemon. Hell, I'm on the street. I've got black women from Chicago coming up and hugging the Trump, poster I got up right there, right? I mean, I tell you, I would say a majority of blacks now that pass by me are giving me the thumbs up or saying go Trump or right. So Latinos, you name it, a vast majority of the people, period. Okay. So all right, not that I'm looking at Trump to be the savior, but he is obviously the populist candidate. He is obviously right now the front runner.
Yeah.
So let's say they do cheat and they say, I'm sorry, but can't, he didn't get elected. What would be the response from the people at that time?
Silver war cry. That's what they want. Either way, or what if they said, if he won and they were like, you cheated?
But would they win that civil war?
Who?
The powers that should not be that won it.
Who knows?
Well,
I would hope not, but it's like, I mean, nobody's prepared.
I asked that question out there of one of my latest videos. I ran into a guy who was just got out of a meeting in Washington, D.C. He's involved in high security of installations. He's got top secret clearance. Guy's been, he's an old soldier. And he was, I mean, once he saw, I'm kind of like a confessional booth out there. People see me and they go, "Oh, someone
I know. I gotta tell him all this stuff."
And I don't know this guy how demonstrative it is about being a whistleblower, but he certainly was candid with me. He was wide open with me. I don't know if he knew the cameras are on or not, but I hit his face just to be, because I didn't want to jeopardize him in his position because he was honest. And I asked him, well, I'll just play that segment.
Yeah, play it. Yeah. I was going to say
of the thing. Where am I? Oh, okay, there I am. Okay.
But that's what's so good about, them just kind of coming up to you, because it's like they seriously do want to like just unload. Hey, dude, I gotta tell you.
Yeah, it's
It's great.
I mean, Well, I told you about what I want to do next.
Yeah.
And man, I don't know. I hope I get to it. I hope it gets to that point. I mean, this thing will probably come to a fruition just about this time the Civil War breaks out, and I won't be able to hit the streets with it, you know. So, you know, it's yeah, I think this is right at the opening here, so it doesn't take that much time.
It's just while the Civil War is playing out, you can play like some kind of like Bambi movie or something. I'm just kidding. Something like The Sound of Music.
This is Civil War right here. What's it going to come to? I mean, we could have a Civil War.
Yes, you are. You are. It may be, and it's going to be, it's not going to be pretty because there's nothing left of the military.
How much of the military will go with the people?
Probably about 55, 60%.
Okay, he's obviously been in a while too. Now everybody I talked to out there in this video, when I brought up what this guy said, yeah, we're going to have Civil War. But what he said there about, and he reiterated when other military guys, high-placed military guys I've talked to, and everything, right? People in the mix of the government. When I asked them how many would go along with of the military would go along, he said the same percentages I was getting from others, about 55 to 60%,
which is interesting.
Would be with the people. So if you add in the amount of veterans and just citizens that would stand up, how would the elites defeat that? I don't know. I mean, it's going to make the last Civil War look like a picnic. You know, it's going to.
Yeah.
It
What did you notice how he said, "Yeah, you will have a Civil War"?
Yeah.
He didn't say we will. He said you will.
Yeah.
Wonder what he meant by that. Like, I mean, he's like, I'm out of here. Yeah, but you guys are gonna have some.
Well,
I'm gonna make sure I'm not here. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting because normally you'd be like, yeah, we are. Like we definitely.
He ain't going nowhere. He said he'd talk to me again. I don't know how he's going to do that. I have a bad habit of not getting contact numbers from people I should.
Yeah, you should.
I know.
So then you can even send them the video if they want, or just to have it. I mean, but
yeah, well, then again, a lot of these people, I don't know if they'd acquiesce for the B video. They don't know that they're
right. That's true.
So but I do my best to try to hide the identity of the people that I think I should. I mean, if someone comes at me abruptly and is an ass wipe and tells me, you can't film. I don't want to. I didn't give permission to film me. I make sure I put them up.
Yeah. Well, you're in public, so.
So yeah. So I just again when this system falls, whatever is going to take now the powers that be have a plan for what they want to put in when the entire thing crumbles. They have the plan for that. That's why they want it to crumble. That's why they are counting on the Civil War and everything to go to hell, everything to just be
destroyed.
Right.
But that's the thing. Look at their DUMBs and their deep underground military bases that are like everything they need underground. So, I mean, imagine while this Civil War is taking place, they're like, we're not going to be up there. We're going to have all their surveillance so that we can watch it happen. And we're going to have a big movie screen down under the earth. But, we're going to let them kill each other. And then we'll come up and rebuild and make the ones that are left, more slaves than they were before.
Whistleblowers
that's what
on
they
the dumbs. And then of course you hear the QAnons and say, oh, they flooded all those tunnels. They went ahead and,
Why would they do that?
Oh,
that's where a bunch of experimentation goes on. I mean, like, imagine kids don't just disappear, but they could go under the, I mean, come on. Do you know what I mean? Like,
There's a
Those
video.
are huge. Like they would flood. Is that where all our water went? They're like, we're in a drought because we had to flood the
Yeah,
tunnels.
yeah, yeah.
So,
I've had guys
I
tell
mean,
me the reason that the Mississippi River dropped like, 4 or 5 feet in a couple of days is because they used that water to flood all the tunnels.
oh my gosh,
Yeah, I've actually had guys that absolutely believe that's
they're
true.
not that stupid. I mean,
No,
they're
yeah,
dumb,
I know,
but
but no,
like,
but these are intelligent people telling me this too. They just got caught up in this, QAnon crap thing and listening to people that have, sitting on their couch with cats and I don't know.
with their kids,
Oh Lord, we are
it's
so,
just
we're,
interesting.
I mean, it is. It's like some kind of like weird Truman show
Yeah.
on bad acid. Like,
Uh,
and,
it's
you-
pretty
and
funny.
and trying to put all this together, trying to put all these pieces together where, because I mean, you're you're a sensible person. You're a common sense, sensible person. This is this kind of person. And you're not prone to fantasy or you're not prone to be led down a yellow brick road or
No, I'm
you're a
like, let's face
realist.
reality. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
you're a
not.
realist. I mean, you see things as they are and then also see things as they could be.
Yeah.
And you try to bridge that gap between,
But that's why, like,
um,
when you can see things for what they are, you can see this is a show, and it actually is pretty comical. Like, it's pretty funny because it's
yeah, I
like,
hope
oh
I
my
didn't
gosh,
sound
this
too
is a
much
bunch of
like
clowns.
hope I didn't sound too much like Kamala Harris there, like not be burdened by the things the way they were, to be unburdened by the way things they can be, or whatever the crap she
Oh
said.
my
But
gosh.
yeah, but that we being a realist in the way we're doing, it's just like trying to wake up to how where the situation is, and it's bad. And to be able to get to the place where we'd like to be, where it would be good, where we wouldn't have to worry about a lot of the things that we're worrying about now. How do we take all of I mean, AI, I had another good conversation with a couple of young men from Canada out there. It was a good conversation. A matter of fact, I meant to put that up today. I'll probably put it up first thing tomorrow. I mean, it's the name of it's going to be Live and Die by AI. And I asked them, I says, because, I says, well, you're both working in AI. It's taken over everything. What are you going to do with all the out of work people that your
Yeah.
AI is putting out, getting rid of, And they gave some kind of an answer that was quasi okay, but they were good guys. They were trying, I mean, they were working and, as a way to make it work. And so I gave them a badass education on the way things are. And I says, I'm sorry we screwed up for you. It's in your hands now. You're the young man and you're working in something that's going to be taking over everything. So make it work for the people because you're a leader. And, the followers will follow the leaders. And so, make them follow something good. Take what is coming in and use it to try to defeat the guys that will use what you're working on to for the bad, for to defeat us, to go ahead and hurt us. So I kind of gave them a kind of a guideline or pointed them in the direction, hopefully. And they were kind enough to listen, and they were very good young men. So, and I think that's what we're facing for. I mean, God bless them. We're all facing an uncertain future,
Mm-hmm.
but
That's
I would
partially
hate,
what,
I would just hate to be 21 years old right now. Oh, God,
yeah, I don't even know what that would be
I'd be
like. I
more
mean,
radical than I am at the moment.
yeah, that's true. Yeah. But I also
I'd be,
think, removing God from everything, we need to bring God back into the forefront
well, that's number one. I mean, that's why our
instead
founding
of,
father said, the three pillars of this republic to maintain it is number one on the list was to be a moral populace.
Yeah. And obviously you can see that we are not at all.
No,
I mean, it's gone like just straight to the toilet.
yeah.
That's what's so sad, you know, like that's why they have to remove God to make you think all these things like are good. Oh, just go along with it. It's like, no, I mean, you can't redefine what a woman is. All of a sudden, nobody knows. We don't know what a woman is.
Did you see that the statue that it's the third largest statue that was erected? Did you see that?
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, this will kind of scare you. Okay. Massive structure of a monkey-headed god, right? Raised in U.S. City,
Oh.
90 feet tall.
Oh my gosh, I did see that and I thought it was a joke, actually.
No. You got
I didn't get to
it.
see this. I was like going
Where the
through
hell
some
is-
stuff and I was like, what is
picture
that?
of it? Where the hell is the picture of it? All right, you gotta click on it.
Oh, right there,
Yeah. Wait till you see this thing, right?
oh, well. Okay, no, I didn't see that. I think I saw something else.
Look at that
Oh my gosh, what in the hell is that?
thing.
It's like got it's like
monkey
got
god.
hips. Yeah, but it's like it's a trans too.
Yeah, it's a
Because it's
trans
like it
monkey.
has like hips, hairy leg. I mean, obviously it's a monkey, but then like it has like pectoral boobs, like in between boobs and pecs. And like a skinny waist. Like what in oh my gosh, that is like hell coming up from where is that?
It's in Texas.
Houston?
It's in Houston, Texas.
How long has that been there?
They just unveiled it.
And what is over its head? What's with its head?
The tail. It's the tail. It's the monkey tail.
Oh my gosh. That thing is yeah, we're pretty much in hell.
Yeah, well, we're gonna
Hell's-
hand hell over to Digga Dan right now.
Yeah.
Hi, Dan.
Hey, Michael and Lady Liberty, how are you?
Good, how are
Always a
you?
loaded question.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Hey, you know what? I had a badass Uncle Sam inspiration yesterday as I was at Staples. I went to Staples because I had to buy ink for my printer. And back when Donald Trump was president, I paid $40 for a black cartridge and $45 for a color cartridge.
Which was about $39 too much already.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yesterday, I paid $58 for a flippin' black ink cartridge for my printer. Hell, I could buy a printer for $58. And then
Well, that's
60
what they get you. They
Aw,
get
man.
they get you to buy the cheap printer so you can have to buy the expensive ink. Take a look into what it takes to make those ink things. And literally, you're talking about pennies. It's pennies on the dollar. It takes about 30 cents to make that ink. And you're paying what, $60 for it now?
Yeah, ridiculous. So like
Yeah.
normally I buy 2 of each, right? So I'm buying 4 cartridges. So I would walk out the door for $170 under Trump. Now it's $242. So
Yeah.
it's a 40% increase. And so the Michael DeBerry inspiration in me, I have the cashier there. He's captive audience. And I said, boy, I can't take another 4 years of this. I hope you don't vote Democrat. And he kind of shook his head at me and he said, oh, I can't vote Republican. And, I'm trying to explain to this guy how it used to be $40 and now it's $58, right? It's a price increase and they're going to price me out of the market and he's going to lose his job. But he doesn't understand. I said, well, the Democrats, they want to kill the baby in the womb too. And then he said, oh no, that's Trump. And, I'm an amateur at this. Yeah, I'm a rookie. I don't know how to engage stupidity.
You can't argue with stupid.
No. I mean, so I just I appreciate what you guys do because you inspire others to be more vocal. And I don't know how to counteract the stupidity though. That's the challenge.
I had some guy I inspired to speak out more. It was last. I should have put that video up too. I don't make that one. And the guy just, I mean, obviously it took it to heart right away because he immediately started walking down the street yelling at, Trump 2024, Trump 2024. And he just would shut up everywhere he went. He was going, oh my God. So yeah, I create monsters, but I'm not, again, I still look at Trump as just the softer mafia Don. He's going to buy us some time. But I don't think, again, I'm seriously, I'm an what do they call it? An anarchist capitalist now. I don't think we need government at all. I don't think we need these damn politicians. Screw them all. So I say.
Yeah.
Anyway, what you got on the plate, Dan? I don't want to take up any of your time. What do you got? What do you got going on?
I have nothing.
Oh,
I mean, I have
unusual.
I have no agenda. I have possibilities, the last
Well,
Tuesday,
your ad libs are always fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like you say, you could look at news. Like Patty J is trying to get me into Jack Hibbs, and I played part 1 of a 3-part series on Tuesday. I might play, part 2. It's about heaven. Yeah, you asked the question, part 1, are you going? Which I think is a great question because, you never know. You never know when it's going to be time up. I was just talking to a guy.
Solid gold meteorite can land on us right now. We'd all die rich.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Well.
lost a good friend. He just passed away.
Yeah.
How old?
Yeah, it's a good
41.
question. I mean, I'm sure all of us have done this from time to time. You listen to the people who've had the near-death experiences and how similar they are. Either people that go to hell or, have that glimpse of heaven. And the ones that are going to heaven don't want to come back here. Even if they have really great lives, good family, good jobs, everything's they go through those gates, man. They get introduced to heaven. They immediately they go, hey, I ain't leaving here. This is cool. Then they're told, well, you got to go back. I said, please. And there's people just the opposite, of course, people that have a glimpse of hell. They turn around
You
real
don't wanna
quick when
go.
they get
Yeah.
back to life. So it's interesting. Yeah, we're only living in this one dimension, that's for sure. And we got to make sure that, we do this right because I don't, very few people get any second chances. I've had about 3 or 4 of them. And, so if I don't wake up, there's something wrong with me. I can't believe how many near-death experiences I've had. Not where I, had the vision of heaven or anything, but man, I should have been
Close
dead.
calls.
Ooh, baby.
Yeah.
And then of course, I told by now everybody knows that time when they pulled myself out of the river and
Mhm.
got the written message from God, You have been saved from a watery grave. Know the reason why. I'm still trying to find out, God. I guess to be here talking to these wonderful people. Thank you. And spreading
Yeah,
the
I'm
word.
definitely on borrowed time, so trying to make the most of it.
Borrowed
Yeah.
time?
Yeah,
What do you
Borrowed.
mean?
shouldn't be here.
No?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, you've had a lot of close calls.
Mhm.
Head-on collisions. I mean, people survive that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it's amazing. He said God's got a message for all of us. He's got a purpose for all of us. I think some more than others. I don't know. I don't know what God's, I get moments of glimpses of what God's plan is for us. But then, of course, I'm just a human. I'm just a dumb human. I mean, what do I really know? You know, it's, and so we just keep on stumbling along. I mean, wouldn't it be nice to know, once we do get to that other dimension, and all these questions are answered, or maybe we won't give a damn. We would just go, hell, I'm here, I'm happy, screw it, let's have a
Or
hamburger.
it comes with the territory. It's just like you just,
Yeah. So
or,
many-
maybe it's also another journey of like figuring that out, who knows? It's definitely
it's-
better than this place. This is a fallen, broken place.
yeah, but it's
Intentionally.
also beautiful, I
It
mean,
is.
it's also beautiful. I mean, one of
However
the
you
things
perceive it.
I think it was on one of the shows here I was watching, and it was a preacher who was showing, um, these on this big screen with this congregation there, and he'd show this beautiful, beautiful, like gorgeous sunset, and just, I mean, you'd say, where do you think that is? And he goes, it's 15 minutes away. It's over here in San Bernardino. You can see this beautiful
Yeah.
sunset.
Yeah.
And God made that. And he'd show another beautiful garden and home. I mean, just absolutely just, this little, like right out of a storybook, you know, gingerbread house kind of a deal going on, right? He said, where do you think that is? It's 15 minutes away, right over here. And and so, and all the beauty that there is on this planet, and it's here if you got the eyes to see it, God's creation and how God put everything we need on this planet.
Right. In
And
abundance.
it's one of the things, that just to get your opinion on it, to get your, when Musk and Trump were talking, a billion people heard it. Yeah, it was great, blah, 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 right? It pissed me off. What the point that pissed me off about it is when they started talking about the medicines. And oh yeah, we got to fast track more vaccines, more medicines. We got to get that stuff out there. We got to do that. I'm thinking, I'm going, you want to what? How about holding some of the damn pharmaceutical companies liable for the millions of deaths and the tens of billions of people they've maimed and crippled? How about doing that instead? How about mentioning with not one word of holistic medicine? How about looking into holistic medicine and preventative medicines? Not one word about that in that, oh, gee, what a great conversation they had. And so, this whole hero worship of Musk and Trump, when at the same time, they're talking about fast tracking big pharma. That's disturbing to me.
Yep. I just read an article this morning on there. It was a CNBC article from 2020 or 2021 talking about how the legal immunity for these drug companies. And, to me, it was so infuriating.
Yeah.
Because, that was Trump. And but,
that immunity
okay.
predates
Right.
him. Yeah, that immunity predates him.
Alex Azar made sure that the COVID-19 vaccine was legal immunity for Pfizer and Moderna.
Yeah, he put the rubber stamp on that. Absolutely, but just the fact that hello, I don't care if I make a chair and someone sits in it and it falls apart while they're in it and they hurt themselves, I'm liable. So why should I be any different than a drug company, or a drug company being any different from me?
Right.
The idea that to give drug companies, why not just give drug dealers immunity then? Why not just give the well, they basically have it because they already own our government and the banksters. So why not just give the drug cartels immunity Say, screw it, come on, Aunt, you can kill as many people as you want, which they are doing. They do
Well,
have
'cause
immunity.
probably because they're like, no, our vaccines work just fine. Because they're doing exactly what they want, which is killing people,
Yeah.
you know, maiming them, making them super sick. It's like, we're not doing anything wrong. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
It's
the
just
end
sad.
game you're bringing up, because you're going to remember the prime directive for the people in power is to control and kill us.
Mhm.
They don't need us anymore. That's the prime directive. So to keep all these killing machines in place is exactly what they want to do. We can't ever never forget that. We have to remember that that is their main directive. That is what they live for, is to control and kill us. They don't need us anymore. It's what I brought up with these two young men that were both in AI. So the only reason the elites have kept us around this long is because they needed slave labor. What you're working on makes us, what they called us, non-essential.
Right.
What do you do? What does a corporation do with things they don't need anymore? They get rid of it. They don't need it anymore because if they've replaced it with something else. So AI, robotic technology, is replacing us. And so we are. That's why they told us to go home when COVID came out. You're non-essential. Then they replace us with robots. So what are they going to do? They want us dead. You got to remember, this is a prime. The politicians are in on it. The politicians, if they don't know that's the prime directive, then they're just useful idiots who have been paid off. But they're doing the bidding of the people that want us dead. But the ones that truly probably know what's going on, or like the Whitner of Michigan, the governor there, and and all the ones that, and the one they're running for vice president now, who's probably one of the worst of them all, Walls, who enforced the lockdowns. I'm sure all of you have already seen during the lockdowns where he had the fully militarized guys going down the street shooting
With paint-
paintballs at
Yeah.
people that were sitting on their porch. That was Walls. That was in Minnesota.
Unreal.
Yeah. You're sitting on your porch
Yeah.
and they had masks on, outside with their masks on, and they they light them up. Well, it's that far away from paintballs to bullets.
Yeah.
And so here's a guy that could very well be the vice president, right? Who will really be the president because she's smarter than, he's smarter than Kamala, but that's not saying much. A cat spits out hairballs. He's smarter than her. So we're talking about a guy that would implement the killing of human beings and he's just a small fry in this. The real guys is when you listen to Havari and Klaus Schwab and the guys that are really behind the board of this. And they are probably not even the people that are really in charge. We probably don't even know their names. Matter of fact,
Barry
they might.
Sotero,
No, he's
one
just a
of them.
cock in the.
But somebody's still
The people
ruling
that are
over him.
really doing this might be the guy with the scales and the horns and the tail. I mean,
Yeah, the fallen
yeah,
Satan's dominions.
yeah, they couldn't make themselves public, because when you get down to it, what's going on isn't human. These people aren't human, and it's not that they're just psychopaths and sociopaths, and they're doing things that are not human.
They're
And
literally demons,
yeah,
like the fallen.
yeah.
They fell from heaven. Now they're trying to make, that's why they can't create stuff. You know what I mean? They just use creation and manipulate it because they can't bring forth, anything else. It's sad.
I wish people would. I mean, I don't let the fear get. I mean, look, Fear is going to exist, and you're going to, it's there, and you should be fearful, but you
God.
should never let that fear rule. You got to rule the fear. You got to conquer that fear. And
For sure.
the way you do that is by facing it. This is an old thing, well, the people used to go, they used to have actually game shows about that, with the fear factor, I think what it was called or whatever
Yeah.
it was,
With Joe
actually.
Rogan.
Yeah, right. Where, people would be able to, like, if you were afraid of heights, they push off a cliff with a parachute or something, so
Bunch of bees, like going through a bunch of bees, or like even spiders, like being encased with a bunch of spider or whatever.
yeah, we've all seen it before that, those things. So you face your fears, and you've done it, and I've done it. I mean, when I first hit the streets, I didn't know what I was going to face. And I was like, what's going to happen here, right? And once I got out there, I went, hell, they're scared of me. I mean, okay, then I started having fun. So now I don't blink an eye out there about, people, aren't you afraid of being attacked? No, why should I? I'm being attacked
have been.
already. That's why I'm out here. I'm
Yeah.
already being attacked, and that's why I'm out here on the street. I'm attacking back. And I had some guy come up to me this past weekend, and it was odd because he just looked like a regular guy, probably in his mid to late 30s. Basically very clean cut, polo shirt on, short hair, cowboy hat, but a baseball cap on. These are three women. He comes around he comes up around my cart, and he looks at me, he goes, it'd be a real shame if Antifa burned this thing down. I thought he was kidding because I looked at him, he didn't look Antifa, right? But it's the way he said it and everything. Then he goes, and I answer, and I says, well, they could try. Shrug my shoulders. And he goes, well, bring it up at our next meeting. I said, really? Okay, well, why wait? Why don't you just go ahead and try and burn it down now, you piece of, right? F you maggot. I says, man, I see you walking away. You're bigger than me. I'm an old guy. Why don't you come over and try and do it now? Of course, he was a coward. He walked away. So they're afraid of us. And we have to remember that. That's one of the things we do. And it's like Audra keeps on saying, it's like she does. If the people would only start exercising their rights that are there,
Authority.
if you'd make the phone call, write the letter, show up at the meetings, then we could start holding these people accountable. And from there, it would grow because, because the one word we keep on talking about, the magic word is accountability. And if we could take that back, if we could take it over at the local level, and then really, that's really all we need to do. Because once you get a solid home ground, and if enough communities do that, then it's, what happens, what the elites want to do can't be implemented. You get a good sheriff, you get a good, strong community, you get a good militia. What are they going to do? Because nobody's going to go along with whatever they implement. Close your business. Screw you. Make me. Put on a mask. Yeah? No. Stay 6 foot apart. I'll go where I want. Right? You can't come in here because you're not wearing a mask. It's a public place. I'll do what I want. So, you have to speak out. You have to go ahead and do this stuff. You have to be noisy. How does the left get where they are? They're noisy. They're out in the streets.
And they're
They make
persistent.
themselves known. They show up. 90% of it is showing up. So show up. You come here, if any of you, maybe you have them saying, and maybe you have them where you are, but I know they're here in this city. If you're to visit the French Quarter, every other block, you're going to run into some moron with a clipboard and probably a vest on, or a t-shirt that says what they're there for. It could be Planned Parenthood, it could be UCLA, it could be gay rights, it could be whatever, right? And would you sign this petition for, gay rights? Well, I would if you can tell me what right you don't have. You already have those rights. So screw your petition. And why then aren't we next to them with our own clipboard, canceling out whatever it is they're for? Whatever it is they're doing, UCLA, or then you have you're standing out there telling them what the UCLA is doing to ACLU. I get I get
Right,
ACLU
yeah.
and UCLA mixed up. Yeah, but yeah, you're out there countering whatever it is that they're pushing. Abortion, fine. If they're out there with that, abortion rights crap, then have something right next to them showing them that it's murder. Why aren't we showing up on the streets countering them? I mean, they have Antifa. We have militias. Where are they? Why every time there's like there's going to be a demonstration or something, Antifa's going to be there? Where's our militias? Why aren't we the people out there with our guns saying, okay, you guys got umbrellas, we got AK-47s or 15s, right? What are you going to do about it? So, because we get the legal right to do that. It's our right to do that. If we all did that, we wouldn't need the corrupt police, because the police are corrupt. For the most, not all of them, but certainly the system
For the most
has it
part.
where they are. I mean, I talk to enough police out there on the street. I talk to them all the time. There's not a weekend I go by, I'm not talking to at least a half dozen cops, either from other cities or, New Orleans. And, some of them are real good guys, and they tell me how bad things are, and, and what they're being stymied to do, what they are trying to do to unstymie it, But I always ask them, well, how much easier would it be if we were all armed and we just helped you out? I have never heard of one of them say, it didn't say, oh, I'd love that. That'd be great. All we'd have to do is come along with the body bags later, then that'd be great. I mean, I took my computer down to the shop I go to, and the cop, the guy that runs the computer shop, he's a cop. He's an LAPD or NOPD cop. And while I was there, I was looking at my thing. There was this TikTok thing or YouTube, whatever it was, of these guys that were running down, they were thieves. And someone just cold cocked this thief that was running down the street. I mean, heels up, boom, straight to the ground, knocked him out. And so he's walking, he looked at that and he goes, what the hell's going on there? And I told him, I says, this is, well, these guys stopped some thieves. He says, good job. He says, they should have cut his hands off while he was laying on the ground. That was a cop speaking, right? So, there's a lot of good cops out there that would go along with us taking care of ourselves. And if we were all practicing our Second Amendment rights and carrying, and I'd say do it constitutionally, as the Constitution said, screw those rules and regulations they put out there that deny you to carry concealed, screw them. There's nothing in the Constitution says I can't carry a gun, concealed, that I have to show us. Nothing in the Constitution says I have to register that gun. Screw you. If I buy a gun on the open market out here off the streets, I'm buying it. I let you know. Screw you. It's the common law. You guys know this. You probably know it, but what it is, I would just reiterate. if you're not hurting someone or someone else's property, there's no law that's been broken.
Right.
Right.
So, you know, I take my big electric bike into the grocery store with me, right? Because one, it's worth a lot of money. Two, I'm not going to leave it parked out there on the street with some jackass because it's got the panniers on it and that stuff in it. So, but you know, I take it because I use it as my grocery cart, and it doesn't take any more room up than a grocery cart. It's got the big panniers on the bed. So I had the manager walk up to me, it was a couple of weeks ago. One of the managers. I've been going into the store for years with this thing. I take it in, and I walk around. I put the stuff I want, the panniers, and I go check out, and everything's done, right? So there's one manager. He comes up and goes, "Can't you lock this thing up outside?" I suppose I could, but why? Well, we gotta, you know, because they got a lock up outside for it. Couldn't you just put it out the front? Like, yeah, why? Why? Is it doing any harm? He says, well, we can't just have people bringing their bikes in here like all that. Why not? What harm is it doing? Am I harming you? Am I harming anybody here right now? I mean, if it gets in somebody's way, like it would be a grocery cart, I push it out of the way. But you know, it's with me all the time. I go down the hall, I pick out the items I need, and I check out. What's the problem? Oh yeah, it could, because you know, he couldn't answer me. Where was the harm?
Right.
He had to, you know, play Mr. Store Manager.
Police.
And I just say, you know, a cop tried to stop me at the door about a year ago. The same thing. And it's funny, the same cop was at the door. The next day, a week later, I came back, and I just walked in with the cart, screwed the damn manager. And, you know, and the cop stopped me one time, and I gave him the same thing. I says, well, I use it as my cart. Who am I harming? And he couldn't answer me. He's, okay, go ahead. I mean, it's just simplicity like this. It's just common sense. Challenge people. Ask why. Why
Yeah.
can't I do this? Why do I have to do that? What do you mean I can't be here? What's the reason? Who am I hurting? Who am I harming by doing this or doing that? I mean, all these things. Crosswalking, for crying out loud. I mean, if you crosswalk and you don't hurt anybody, there's no law. You didn't break a law. Now, if you crosswalk and damage is caused because you caused an accident from that, then you should be held liable. You
Yeah.
hurt someone. Stop signs. All right, it's 3:00 in the morning. You're on a rural street.
Oh, you just go.
You don't see any headlights anywhere. Should you stop?
No.
No. Why? Did you break the law? Screw the law. There is no law there. There is
It's a
no law. I didn't
suggestion.
break the law. I didn't harm anybody. There was no harm done. I mean, this is the law.
Like, obviously, if there's a car there, you should, but not. Yeah.
And why this law isn't applied to the pharmaceutical companies or to any company. Because right now they're paying off the politicians, which is why we need to get rid of them, because it's easier to pay off one politician than the entire populace. So the idea of just getting rid of our politicians altogether and us governing ourselves makes more sense to me than going out here and going to vote on a machine that is corrupted and will not count my vote. And even if it did, and even if the guy wanted to get in, would then be corrupted by lobbyists and take the money to enrich themselves rather than to help the people he ostensibly went in there to help. Screw them, screw the politicians, screw this damn system of government, and let's govern ourselves through the edicts of the Constitution with common law and free market capitalism anarchism. Why
See,
not?
it's like we have the vision, but we don't know how to get there.
Oh,
You know,
well, we know how to get there. It's just bloody.
yeah. Yeah, well, I was listening to Malcolm X this morning, and he's talking about one, all revolutions are over land, and they all are bloody.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was pretty interesting. He actually said the white man is the enemy. He was very open about it.
Well, later on, he changed. You know that. Yeah.
I guess I don't know that. I'm not
Yeah.
a expert.
You gotta do some real hard research on him. He went on a pilgrimage over to Mecca and all. And when he was there, he was he was at the center of it all. And he was meeting white guys and people of all ethnicities, makeups and
Ethnicity. Yeah.
places, right? And he came back, his mind was changed. He says it's not the people's skin color, it's what's inside them that matters. That's what matters. So he really changed his tune before. That's why they killed him, because he was coming back with he wasn't a divide and conquer guy anymore. He was being used when he first came out. He was spreading the message of revolution, radicalism, and all this good stuff. And he was saying a lot of good things mixed in with a lot of bad. And it was the bad that the elites wanted, because it was causing division. And it's always divide and conquer. So the more he could divide people up, and especially with the whole racial issue, because they wanted that race war going on, he wasn't a threat. They would play like he was a threat, but it was a play. It was a game. When he went over to Mecca and came back it completely changed. And he was not playing the race card anymore. That's when they had him assassinated. Because he was trying to unite people then. He said he was openly admitting I was wrong. He says, when I went there, I was meeting people of all races, of all kinds, and I was wrong. He says it's a spiritual thing, and we have to come together and beat the people that are trying to suppress us. And so they killed him. They had him assassinated. And that's the same thing that happened with Kennedy. What did he do? He was gonna come back and get rid of the Fed, and he was going to institute the sound dollar, and they couldn't have that. So they killed him. It's the same thing with anybody that wants to threaten the Borg. But now that more people are waking up, now that we have it's the Great Awakening here, they have to try to kill us all now. And that's the plan. They pretty much knew that at this time, the Deagle report, what does the Deagle report say? The Deagle report, by the end of 2025, the population of the United States would lose 68% of its population.
Yeah.
And we're on course for that. Now,
you think so?
Yes. Yes.
I would even say with the Civil War, it's like
watch Craig Reese's report on this. It explains it very succinctly on it's 6 minutes. Is it okay I play it?
Yeah, put it up.
Yeah. I think I've played this a couple of times already, but this is this tells you how close we are to extinction of the Georgia Guidestones. What did they say? By the year 2030, they want the world's population be down to what? 500 million.
100.
None of this is a mystery. The elites have had this planned forever. I said that. I keep on giving you over and over again. They want us dead. They don't need us anymore.
Deagle.com was officially operated by Dr. Edwin A. Deagle Jr. In 2014, Deagle.com published predictions of massive population declines happening abruptly before the year 2025, mostly in Western countries. For over 5 years, the mysterious depopulation predictions on Deagle.com were regularly updated. But after the 2020 lockdowns, this page was removed from the website, but can still be found archived on the Wayback Machine. Deagle.com has always been a very stark website, with all the appearances of being an intelligence agency website. It claims to be the personal website of Dr. Edwin A. Deagle Jr., who recently passed away in February of 2021. In their recent article, uncovering the CIA and Rockefeller Foundation's role in the depopulation forecast released by Deagle, the expose connects the dots that many of us have assumed existed. Declassified FOIA documents from the 1970s reveal Deagle's direct communication with Stansfield Turner, the director of the CIA at the time. In 1976, Dr. Edwin Deagle moved to New York to become deputy director of the International Relations Program at the Rockefeller Foundation. The Rockefeller Foundation was created on May 14, 1913, just a few months after the Rockefeller family helped set up the Federal Reserve banking system, which gave them unlimited funds while enslaving future generations with debt. The Rockefeller Foundation funded eugenics programs that decided who should live and who should die. They outlawed natural medicine and fuel, including one of America's #1 cash crops, hemp, and replaced it all with chemical compounds derived from their oil companies' toxic waste. The Rockefeller Foundation created the United Nations and have their tentacles in NGOs throughout the Western world. In 2019, they funded Event 201, the blueprint for the COVID lockdowns that were executed weeks later. Officially, we are told that Dr. Edwin A. Deagle Jr., a deputy director of the Rockefeller Foundation and an associate of the CIA, retired in 2005. The depopulation forecast was published in 2014. The Deagle.com forecast predicted that by the year 2025, the UK would see its population decline by 77%. Ireland would see its decline by 72%. The United States by 68%. And Germany by 65%, while other countries, like Russia, are predicted to experience practically zero decline. And official data is now showing that the extreme Deagle.com predictions may be accurate. Official figures, which we can assume are rather conservative, are showing that government shutdowns and mandated deadly shots have caused staggering levels of excess death. According to official UK government data, the COVID-19 vaccines were the main cause of excess death. And the more shots you got, the more likely you were to die. Many are saying that over 20 million have died as a result of the COVID lockdowns and experimental shots. And while that number is historically epic in size, it still does not amount to what Deagle predicted by 2025. But we still have time. A 2014 letter that was published along with the depopulation forecast stated that they predict this decline because the collapse of the Western financial system will wipe out the standard of living of its population, and that the population will be hit so badly that the migration engine will start to work in reverse, leading to the demise of the United States. They wrote that, historically, a change in the economic paradigm has resulted in a death toll that is rarely highlighted by mainstream historians. With the end of the petrodollar and with the rise of resource-backed BRICS, the Federal Reserve's USD Ponzi scheme is likely at its end. And without factoring in a smart recovery plan, this would make Deagle's predictions a reality. Reporting for InfoWars, this is Greg Reese.
Now add in this. During the Great Depression, when we had half the population that we do now, and 90% of the people were agrarian, could grow their own food. 7.5 million people in this country died of starvation-related diseases. Today, 90% of the people couldn't grow weeds with instructions. So when you add in the COVID, you add in the Civil War, you add in the Depression, you add in the sleeper cells that have come up through the border, you add all that in, and then you look at Deagle might not have gone far enough and how much this country will decline. So, is it going to get what? Trump's going to get in and make this all go away? Is he? Seriously?
He's talking about mass deportation.
Yeah,
How do you
but
get rid of like up to the tune of close to 60 million people?
yeah. And then you're going to, you think these people are just going to throw up their hands and say, okay, we're going to go back. Okay.
No, they'll put up a fight.
I mean,
They'll put up a fight to
remember, Dan, there's not the, Audra will tell you this because she's seen it with her own eyes. The military age men coming over, the terrorists that are coming over. We have an army of terrorists in this country right now, larger than our own army.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
They're already here. They're already dug in. They're in their safe houses. They've got their places, and all they're doing is waiting for the get-go. Just last week, an army base in Texas was attacked. Nothing more about it, just that a group of men, armed men, had a firefight at an Air Force base in Texas. Since
Air
then,
Force or Army? You said Army and then you said Air Force.
Air Force base in Texas.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Oh yeah. It was on Gateway Pundit. I might be able to find it, but it was up last week.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And they had a firefight with a group of people. Let me
Like it dwindles out. Like that's what's so funny. They bring in other things so that you just kind of don't focus on that. There's so much other things going on, but
yeah,
it's very dangerous to think about.
That's kind of nuts, and if our soldiers are all over in Korea and Australia defending their territory, they're not minding the store here.
That's the point too, right?
Yeah.
Like we'll go protect other, nations and countries when it's like, how about ours? I mean, we literally have an invasion, and the only thing they do about that, like when, people are seeing them spend so much money on Ukraine and Israel and all of that, there's money being spent on our border. It's just going to facilitate the invasion of it, not the protection of it.
Right. And we're housing these people and giving them medical care.
Yeah. And giving them free loans interest-free loans to get housing, or, they could get a sex change if they wanted to. They get so many things. I mean, they just get cash assistance checks. So
this headline is playing down what really happened. It was a shootout.
Mm-hmm.
It was a shootout.
Multiple shootings. It's like, no, it was
multiple shootings.
Yeah.
But it's more like they were shooting back and forth.
Can you give us some details?
Yeah. In two separate incidences early Sunday morning, unidentified suspects opened fire on the Air Force security personnel at the entrance gate to Lackland Air Force Base Chaplain Training Annex. The first attack occurred around 2:15 a.m. at the intersection of Ray Ellison Boulevard and Meeting Base Road, prompting an immediate increase in armed guards at the site. According to Sergeant Washington Costco of the police media service, the second shooting took place just after 5 a.m., whereupon newly reinforced security engaged the assailants by returning fire. Although no injuries were reported, the presence of bullet casings near the suspect's vehicle located confirmed shots were fired. The investigation into these aggravated assaults continues as authorities seek to identify and apprehend the subjects. So
nobody got hit?
No, this is a test. They're testing the defenses. It's what you do in warfare. You send out some minions out there to go ahead and test and see what's going to happen. So when the real assault happens, you know how to, defend against that. So this is, I mean, they're already here. I mean, do I need, oh God, I mean, even just past week, there's, there's two ladies from Chicago, and then one of them works on the grounds, and I got that up on band. And I asked them about, well, how are things on the streets there? She goes, well, it's insane. They're impossible. So the illegals are everywhere. They're getting $1,300 in food stamps, and they're getting $3,800 a month in cash. Each illegal. I'm not getting that. You're not getting that. And so these people are being taken care of. There's an army here they're getting paid to be here for a reason. So when they get the what you've heard the stories over the past few years of where pot shots are being taken at the transformers.
Right.
High caliber transformers are being taken down by high caliber guns. So they're being trained to target the grid. They're being trained to target our military bases. They're being trained to target our infrastructure in our roadways and our means of communication, our means of transporting and everything getting away. But again, an army larger than our current standing army. And our army's scattered all over the world. They're not here to protect us.
Right.
They're all over the place.
Right.
So when the crapola really hits the fan, the 55 to 60% of the military of the guy that said, would be on our side that during the Civil War won't even be here.
Yeah,
They're gonna be all over the
16,000
world.
Marines in Australia.
Say what?
16,000 Marines in Australia. That's what they want.
Right. It's
Yeah.
all intentional that
Yeah.
they do this. Then it leaves us, and then they're like, oh my gosh, we had no idea. They plan it out, and it's not a coincidence, that they're doing that and leaving us like sitting ducks.
The U.S. Military and Australian military just signed a joint statement about a week ago, and they're concerned about climate change.
Yeah.
It's part of the document. They're talking about the flipping climate.
Yeah.
And, it's utter moronicness.
Well, in that video I put up Civil War just the other day with that guy from Washington, he's in deep. Pentagon, high clearance security, everything, right? And he's telling me there in that video that our military is depleted with a bunch of pussies. He says they're all worried. They're all worried about their pronouns more than they were about what their mission is. So, this is the guy he's career military, he's at the Pentagon. He's going to meetings in Washington all the time, high level, deep state, full military, high clearance and all. And he was telling me, I can play it for you, I already played it, how bad things are. He's giving me details. And then I could play you the clip of the guy I spoke to 2 years ago from Afghanistan, whose job it is to vet Afghans. And this is 2 years ago, this video's up, 2 years. This is a quote from him. There are 75,000 bin Ladens in this country right now, and this administration is stopping me from tracking them down.
The Biden administration.
Yeah. The Biden administration was stopping it. I can show you the clip. The guy says it to me. He says, I am scared to death because by 2025, you will have no country.
But imagine that's just the number that was then. You know what I mean? And that means that it's way higher than that.
Information he gave me, he tells me in the clip, is a year old. He says, this information I'm giving you is a year old, but there are 75 back then. They wouldn't allow me to track down these 75,000 bin Ladens, he called them. in this country. And he said they were allowed to bring over their families. So once they got in, they were allowed to bring in. So multiply that number by about at least 5.
Well, so then who maintains control in that situation?
Control of what?
We do. Because there will be no control. Our
Right.
government's going along with
There's-
this.
It's intentionally out of control.
Yeah. There will be no control. The only control that will be the deep states. They'll bring in the UN troops. They'll bring in the Chinese troops. They're already here. There are Chinese troops already here. You understand that the cargo that comes into our country, those cargo containers,
Yeah.
only 10% of them are inspected, and they're inspected by Chinese offshore.
Huh.
That's how the
I
traffic
know
gets
we
in.
have Chinese ownership of the ports.
Again, they inspect the 10% of the cargo that comes in. That means 90% of it is coming in unchecked. Don't you think they know what not to check?
Yeah. Was
What's
that you
coming
who
in
was
the-
talking about the self-storage facilities? Or was that somebody else?
Must
The
be somebody
foreign
else.
ownership of self-storage facilities
Oh,
where they
yeah.
can,
Oh yeah, they're parking this stuff all over the place.
yeah.
You understand? They could bring in nuclear bombs with this stuff. We wouldn't know it. They could be
They're
bringing
probably
in
here.
troops. They can bringing in biological weapons, which I have no doubt they're doing.
Yeah.
So, this stuff is fact. I'm not giving you fantasy here. I'm not giving you fear porn. I'm telling you that this country has already been conquered and that we're on our own. We are on our own. And that's why I say the Deagle report is probably right on. That probably doesn't go far enough. 68% is probably a low number.
Hmm.
When this crap hits the fan, when everything falls out, when the rug gets pulled out from underneath, I would, during, it's Trump. Yeah, okay, right. When the rug gets pulled out from, because look. What did Ratskin say? They're not going to certify Trump if he allegedly wins. And they're going to use that black hat convention that shows that the machines could be hacked as a reason. He's going to say, look, they could prove that the machines could be hacked, so we're not going to certify him. He's not president, right?
Hmm.
Well, what do you think would happen then? Do you think that the populace, or the segment of this populace, would make January 6th look like a picnic? Of course. And what would be the deep state's reaction to that? They're waiting for that. They want that. So that's when the chaos ensued. Martial law would be declared, and then then everything goes to hell. If
Yeah.
Trump beats the cheat and somehow gets in, do you think that look what happened the last time he got in? Multiply
Right.
that by 1,000. Okay?
Mhm.
Because what it is, and I'm telling you this right now, it's 2 mafia gangs. One mafia gang wants to kill us quicker than the other mafia gang. The one mafia gang is the Harris mafia gang,
Yes.
and they want to kill us quickly. It's enough. We're going to put in all this agenda, and that's going to go ahead and kill us quickly because screw it. They want us done now. The Trump mafia gang, he wants to keep us around a bit longer because he wants to bleed us a little more. He wants to suck out more of our wealth and energy and stuff. So, and either way, I don't know, he might be some humanity in him that, he wants to save some people. He doesn't, maybe he's not fully in, maybe his gang isn't fully into wiping out, the 97% of the world's population like the Harris gang is. Maybe he wants to keep 50% of us around. He's a softer Don. But still means, regardless, there's going to be a great deal of death that we're going to face. One way or the other. No stopping it. You cannot stop what's already been put in motion. It cannot be stopped. You cannot stop the deaths from the jab. You can't stop them. Well, I mean, even if the antidotes are out there, but you can't get it to enough people right now. You get it out there. But so those people are going to die. You cannot stop the deaths and the starvation is going to happen when the dollar collapses and we go into a whole new monetary system. You cannot stop it. That's going to happen. You cannot stop the wars that are going to take place when this happens, when this comes about. And what weapons they're going to use. It's not just going to be conventional weapons. They got weapons now that can wipe out whole populations in a short period of time. I mean, it just simply by spraying cyanide over us. They could do that. Just come over and spray cyanide us and goodbye. See you later. They got it. They got drones out of it. They got mini drones like size of a marble, right? They could release 1 million of them with facial recognition on them or not, and they come up to a human, stick them with cyanide or blow their head off. They got them. They have these weapons. They have sound weapons. They have space weapons. They got the rods of God that started the Lahaina fire. Talked to a woman from Hawaii just recently, and we talked about this, well, what are the people talking about starting those fires over there and all, And I mean, you name it, man. I'm telling you, you got to remember, they're not like us. They just don't want to get up in the morning and have a couple of pancakes and, go to work and take their kids fishing on the weekend and enjoy. They're not like us. These people get up in the morning and the first thing they think of is, how can I kill these bugs? How can I use them and kill them? That's what they do. These are not normal people.
They're psychopaths.
And they're the ones.
That's hard. That's hard for people like us to wrap our minds around that concept. We don't think that way.
And that's why they take advantage of us, because we don't think that way. But unless you're a soldier, unless you're a fighter, unless you've been at war, unless you've been against these people, you don't know how bad they are. And once you start going against them, you'll still be a good person, but you start recognizing their mindset. You start understanding that what we're up against is people you cannot compromise with. It's either them or us. Period.
Kind of like the way the Jews look at it, huh? They just annihilate the Arabs.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but that is even a false. That's the Zionists. Even that's false. Look, there's a lot of different kind of Muslims. There's only one small sector, the jihadists of the Muslims that are like the Zionists, the Jew Zionists. The rest of the Muslims, I meet Muslims on the street all the time. They're coming up. They love Trump. They're coming up and and then I'll meet Jews that come up, love Trump. I mean, freedom is the thing. It's not what it's not so much the religion. It's not so much the color of the skin. It's not so much anything else. It's what's innately in you as a human being, that God spirit within you that screams out for freedom, that screams out for justice, that screams out for life and liberty. That's what we are. And when we go up against these people that want to crush all of that, simply because it reminds me of that old Frank Sinatra line out of Frank Sinatra. Some people get their kicks just stomping on a dream. And that's what these people are. They get their kicks out of watching us suffer. They get their kicks out of torturing us.
They do everything for Satan. You know what I mean? That's their God. That's how evil runs rampant,
And until you realize that, and I read the comments here, say, I don't like confrontation. Well, neither do I. But by damn sure, I'll tell you what, I'm not running away from it, because I'll tell you, if you run away from it, that's when they come at you and they'll slit your throat from behind. So you either face them and face them down, because here's the good news about this. You stand up to them, they run. they're cowards. In their heart and soul, they're cowards. At their very essence and their very core, they're cowards. You stand up to them and they run.
Well, you know what? It comes to mind the story of that black woman in her kitchen with a boiling pot of water. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. The cop said, "What was that? You better not. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." And he pulls out a gun, shoots, kills her. And she's in heaven. I believe that. Her final act was she saw the demon in that guy.
Yeah.
And, I screw immunity. He deserves to go to jail for murder.
Better live in one moment on your feet than a lifetime on your knees. I'm sorry.
Right.
And this is a transitory thing. What are we here for? This is a thin veneer here of reality. This is transitory. This is bullcrap. Live life to its fullest, grab it by the throat.
Yeah.
Shake it and live it. And don't be afraid to live. I mean, because you're gonna die anyway. It's not how you die, it's how you live.
Right.
And and if you die, you're gonna die anyway. So you might as well, why do we,
Sorry.
I go out every day. When I go out, well, I go out on the street and up, but certainly when I go out on the street, I go out there knowing in my mind that this might be my last time out there. I could very well die out there because I'm threatened every day I go out, one way or the other. And when once I solidify that in my mind, I get comfortable with the fact that I know where I'm going, hopefully. I mean,
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I fear is offending God. That is the only thing I fear now. And my landlord.
That's the only thing
I don't
we
want to
should
offend my
fear.
landlord. Oh my God. It used to be I didn't want to offend my bartender too. I didn't want to do that. But now really I only fear one thing. I just do not want to. I'm afraid of God. I'm afraid of doing something that would like piss him off. And that's it. Everything else I don't care. I'm not afraid of offending anybody. I don't give a crap about people, and their feelings. Well, I do, but it depends on the person, of course.
Well, not to the extent where you're gonna like placate them and lie about it. It's like,
Yeah, no, I'm not
be
gonna placate them.
straightforward and,
No.
Right.
No way. I don't screw your pronouns. I'm sorry. I don't
right.
give a-
Like, don't live in the insanity that they want to like
Right. I'm not going to perpetuate.
project onto us and say that we have to capitulate to it. It's like, no, I don't, because that's insane for you to not even like you change definitions of things. Look what's happening with the kids. Like, leave the kids alone. If you want to do whatever you want to do on your own time and dress like a woman, go ahead, but don't bring that to a child.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Even now,
and
I've
tell
got to
them
the
that they
point-
need to mutilate their body. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Exactly.
atrocious.
And I got into a conversation. I might post that. Man, so much you need to edit. Couple of ladies were both atheists and wanted to know why I was supporting Trump. And I gave my reasons. I says, well, why wouldn't you want to support him? He says, well, he wants to, take over my body. I says, in what way? If I want to have an abortion, I says, well, you could still have an abortion. He says, no, it's illegal if I want to. Well, where do you live? I think they were living in a state that right now is making it tough to get an abortion, right? And they manifestly have to look this up because she said, well, if I leave the state to go to an abortion, they've made that illegal. I says, I can't imagine that's true. She goes, no, it's true. You can get arrested if you leave my state to go get an abortion. I says, that would be unconstitutional. I can't imagine that'd be true. And, but she was adamant that it was and all. I says, and I finally got around to the point where I just said, you know what? You want to have an abortion? Go ahead. It's your body and you're the one who has to face the consequences. It's not me to tell you, I'm going to tell you, I don't think you should have one. It's not me to tell you that you can't have one. I would tell you if I had the ability, to stop you, I would, but I don't. So have that abortion if you want, and you face those consequences, both here and the afterlife, even though you don't believe in a God, and that's your problem. You don't believe in a God. You don't, and we talked about, well, when does life begin and all this stuff, right? And even with that hot topic, it's sort of like, look, do it. It's your thing. You face your consequences. It's your decision. But do not, in any circumstance, ask me to condone it. Don't ask me to be polite to you about it. Don't in any way think I'm going to accept you and your idea lightly. And if you try to get me to accept it, but then you're being just as bad as the person that's saying you can't have the abortion. Have it. You live with it. And when you die, you're going to find out how wrong you were. Matter of fact, while you're alive, you'll probably find out how wrong you are. Because people that have abortions, more often than not, I mean, you probably know the percentages, Audra. How many of them, how many women have, I think it's like up in the 80 percentile have repercussions
Regret.
if something happens to their bodies? You're a woman, you tell us.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure of the exact numbers, but I mean, I do know even like standing outside of one of the Planned Parenthoods and trying to get people to make a different choice. A woman came up to me and she just said that she's had regret for her entire life after having done it. And she said, I wish that there was someone like you before I went in so that I would have made a different decision, because it's eaten away at her for decades. And so it's like, that was sad. That was like, but I think more people have that than not. But there's so many things that can happen from it. Yeah. Like with your health, like, doing that to your own body. But I think also the mental consequences of that are, can be way more difficult than if you, kept the baby or had the baby and gave it up for adoption. Because there's somebody that could love the baby. And I think once that sinks in for some people, and some people it doesn't, I think that they're just kind of like removed from feeling anything. Like they just kind of shut that off. And that's partially why they're able to do it in the first place.
Well,
But,
David Knight has that clip. I don't know if did you see it, Dan, the clip that his wife?
The baby hears the dad's voice and he smiles in the womb.
Yes. Oh yeah, I
that's
saw
incredible.
No, that's another one. That's the good one. I'm talking about the clip his wife took of the woman that she was like, on the kind of like, squatting down on the ground or something. It was at an abortion protest thing. And this young woman, she turns around and you got her on camera and she goes, I kill my babies. You ought to ask David about that one. See that one? There's people out there that
I mean, they even have
no compunction. I mean, I had a couple of girls out there a couple of weeks ago told me that up to the moment of birth, it was okay to kill their child. I have them on camera saying that. And when I asked them, and when I said, so just all this for your own selfish reasons? Yeah. I have them on camera saying that.
But they also, like with Cosmopolitan, it was like they have this, they wanted to make it a ritual, like that you're sacrificing this child to Satan. So it was like a satanic ritual that you would do like before, during, and after, per se, the abortion. So I mean, you even have people that want to engage in that and look at it as like they're, who knows, selling your soul. That's like, kill your child. You think you're going to have all of these great things when in reality it's the complete opposite. But they don't. That's why God needs to come back. We need to bring God back into the focus, because right now Satan's running rampant. This is his playground, but it's like, we still have the ability to change it. It's just everybody has to stop going along with all of this these atrocities that take place, like pedophilia. I mean, they're totally condoning it and being like, no, it's not as big of a deal, So when you have that and you make ways for evilness to seep in, people jump on the bandwagon because they sell it in a way that is like, they think they're having more rights. You know what I mean? Like I'm able to choose whatever it is. It's very sad. Yeah. And then at the DNC doing that, and even the vasectomies. So it's like, what better depopulation agenda than to do that?
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
I saw that,
Yeah.
Michael.
How
That's
it's-
just awful.
I mean, it's sanity personified. This is like, I mean, Hitler, Pol Pot, Mao, Stalin. They
Right.
couldn't have, they must be smiling right now from wherever the hell they are, in hell. But, I mean, how do we even, I mean, where's this? Well, hello? In a bus. You're going to go get a baby cut out in a bus?
No.
Are you serious? You're going to go get your, what, a vasectomy? You're going to tell that someone, I'm sorry, you ain't touching my wanger with that, not anywhere, especially not in a
Right.
bus. And hello? I mean, how evil does it get? So,
Watch this. I got to share this because this is just stunning. It was in the New York Post, I think, and this is in Brazil. And this is just stunningly beautiful, amazing.
Do pai. Mas, meu Deus do céu, gente. Ela tá feliz, meu Deus do céu. Bebê. Mas, gente do céu. Nenê do pai. Mas, meu Deus do céu, gente. Nenê do pai. Mas, meu Deus do céu, gente.
See the baby smiling? Isn't that amazing?
Ela tá feliz, meu Deus do céu. Bebê.
In the womb, 32 weeks.
Mas, gente do céu. Nenê do pai. Mas, meu Deus do céu, gente.
Oh, it's so sweet, isn't it?
It
Well,
is.
that,
And
you know-
it's so sad the way they like try and just go like, it's just a clump of cells. It's like, how can you say that? And then, I mean,
you know what my answer is to that?
What?
You're a clump of cells right now. Can I kill you?
You're right. Yeah.
I mean,
We're all a bunch of clumps of cells.
Yeah, we're just all clumps
We are
of
held
cells right
together
now.
by
I mean,
energy.
so I love it when they say that to me. It's just a clump of cells. So are you. Can I kill you? I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing to do that's right about what they do. There's always an answer for it because everything they do is based on a lie.
mhm.
Well, it's not a baby until it has a heartbeat.
Yeah, but then it has a heartbeat and then they're like, oh, well, it's not until it's born. It doesn't, like it's not even life. It doesn't have any rights. Like they want their rights, but they don't think that this being should have its rights. You know what I mean? Then they can just kill it. And it's like, when you think about it, I mean, you couldn't do that any other time.
God
know?
says, before I knitted you in the womb, I knew you.
That's right.
I mean, I have a question for you, Audra and Dan, because you brought this up a little while ago, Audra, of what could be. You said this is Satan's world and
Hmm.
ratified. But can we defeat prophecy? Because prophecy say this is ordained that the devil will take over.
That's right. Well, it's
So-
all how we choose to. I don't think that we can, I mean, we can't change what God's will is, but I believe that, we can choose how we deal with it and how we navigate this realm. That's why it's so important to, have a relationship with our Heavenly Father and Jesus so that we can be guided through this and not have to suffer the consequences of that. Meaning, you know, when there's a famine or whatever's happening, it's like you can either, you know, try and navigate it on your own. I mean, I'll be the one going, you know, just guide me through this, just like I do in any like just now, you know, because I can't do it without him. But even when times get tougher and say you're looking for food or whatever it is, I know that he'll provide, you know, but having a constant connection with him and not allowing this life or other things to kind of put that separation between you two. It's like you need to stay like magnetized, like just so connected and enmeshed that this realm and Satan's playground doesn't affect you. That's why we can step outside of it and look at it from a different perspective. And it's not, I mean, I'm not afraid of Satan. I know where he's headed and he's a joke. But God, it's like, I don't want to mess with that. I would, you know, I got to make sure I stay in tune there so that I can, you know, ward off the thwarts of the devil and anything he's trying to do, you know, and trying to get me to believe. It's like, you know, you can sit in fear and be like, oh my gosh, there's a civil war coming. But it's like, I know that like God will see me through it. I have no doubt in my mind. So I'm not afraid of it. I just know it's coming, and it's unfortunate because we shouldn't have to go through that, but that's the way it's going to be. But I'm okay because I know that even if I died in it and whatever, that's cool. I'm going to paradise.
Yeah.
And if not, I know that.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
No,
step
go ahead.
on you.
No, go ahead.
I'm
No,
just-
please.
He's totally in control, you know?
Yeah.
You know, you have in your mind what you think is supposed to happen today. For example, me, and it didn't work out as according to what I had thought was best, but it worked out to what God thought was best, you know, and I say have the humility to accept that. You know, and just the one thing I have people that I know that create monsters that don't exist. And they get all fearful and all afraid and all worked up over this monster that it never comes to fruition. Right.
Right.
So, okay. So we'll theorize, okay, we've got 75,000 terrorists and, you know, okay. Maybe there's not a damn thing I'm going to do about it. I mean, I can do things personally, what I think might help in the event. Right. But I'm not going to stop it. Like Michael says, you're not going to stop prophecy. He's absolutely right. I mean, we're not in control. We can do what we can in our own little world, and the world around us, however it's going to happen. They're going to send 16,000 Marines to Australia. Well, I can bitch and complain about it, but I'm not going to stop it.
Right. And what's that going to do if you bitch and complain, right? Like that's our choice in this, like how we handle it. Are we going to let it like envelop us and then you're not really like doing what you should be most of the time, right? Like sitting there worrying, like worry doesn't do good. Like that's why even God's like, don't worry about tomorrow. I mean, you know, like live in today because tomorrow.
Bitching and complaining, I'll be out of a job.
No, but it's still good to like talk about it, but like you shouldn't sit there and be like, I can't do anything today because this is happening, like where you get so depressed that it literally paralyzes you. I don't think talking about it is a bad thing because we have to be real about what's going on. I think not talking about it and pretending it doesn't exist is worse. But if you like, it's a choice how we deal with it. Are we going to look at it and be like, oh my gosh, this is a doomsday, whatever? Or are you going to kind of press on and say, I'm going to continue to do the work God wants me to do, you know, or am I going to let this like rule over my thoughts and everything so that you're just like, oh, that's it. I mean, and that's what Satan wants for us to be like useless. You know what I mean? But it's like, if you can choose to acknowledge it and understand it and turn to God so that he can help you navigate it, and choose to like follow that path. That's why the path is narrow. It's like, you know, you can't allow it to let you go with the wind and like just, you know, blow you wherever it may go. Like you still need to have like sure footing and go, okay, this may be going on and this is how I'm going to react to it. And I'm going to still press on. I don't know. I'm not really like articulating this the way that I would hope, but
No, you're doing a
it's a
fine
choice
job, but
how we
you-
deal with it.
what you said, something you said there kind of like brought to light about how they try to beat you down or try to, manipulate you. And of course, the powers that should not be have got this whole psychological bend down to a fine science and how to do that.
Mhm.
And I was listening to an experiment yesterday that they were doing with students. And it was interesting because they had the students sitting at their desk, right, in class. And they had a puzzle to work out on paper there. They had some questions and little puzzles they had to work out. But there were two separate tests. One was harder than the other. And they didn't tell the students that, of course. But they said, as soon as you're done, raise your hand, right? So half the class, of course, raised their hand way faster while the other half was still struggling with their puzzle, right? And then the teacher at the end of it led on to what was going on. But they asked the students, how did you feel when all the other people were raising their hands? And, and some of the people were raising their hands they knew weren't as bright as, they were. So they were like, how did they do that so quick, right?
Yeah.
And the answers I got were, well, it made me feel dumb. It made me feel like I didn't want to complete this. It made me feel defeated. And then they talked about how that carries over, how the powers that should not be use that kind of psychology. So they beat us down with regulations. They beat us down with, rules and regulations and make us jump through all these hoops and stuff and whatnot, where we become like we just give up. It's like we don't want to do it. We don't want to do this anymore. We don't want to go through. We don't want to follow through. So it was a great psychological profile.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back. Maybe if I could, I'll play it next week.
Yeah, that was good. It was like they were trying to get you, they were giving you letters and it was like spell a
You
word
saw
with
it. You
this.
listened to it.
Yeah. I don't remember if you showed it or I saw it somewhere else, but I know what you're talking about. And so
Yeah.
some of them, half of them got really simple ones and the other half got ones that you couldn't even create a word out of it. So they're like, what? And, thinking, weird, am I stupid? Because these people are just like, yep, I got it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And so,
Right.
it makes you feel that way. Almost kind of when you're saying that, I was thinking about the anon stuff with Q, where they're going and they're doing the red string and, they're like, this means this and it goes over here. I remember seeing that and I'm just like, am I stupid? I was like, because I feel like that doesn't make sense. And I was like, maybe it's just me. But I mean, it works good because it was like, how are they making that connection? And I realized a lot of that was to, mislead the people and stuff, but it worked in a way on me. And then I was like, I don't even want, this is a bunch of BS. I'm not even going to go down that road, but it'll make you feel like maybe you're just not cluing in. I mean, it's kind of like in school too, when you're doing some kind of, maybe kids aren't always good at this like crazy math or whatever, and it doesn't make sense. It will at some point, maybe if you can have it explained better, right? But it's like half that stuff, we're not even using it, but you get graded on it and you feel kind of dumb because you're like, why don't I get it? I mean, if you taught kids in a different way of like when you're homeschooling and you're doing like real life stuff and you can bring that in, like say, even if it's just with fractions and cooking or baking, and you're like, here, I'm going to have a quarter of a cup of this. And if I add, however much, like a half a cup, how much do you have type of things where it's like real life and you can engage in it and it makes it, you're applying it as opposed to learning something that you're like, when is this ever going to be used? And I think in school, they just want you to like go along with it. They don't want you to think outside the box and think critically and say, well, why this doesn't make sense or whatever. I mean, I guess that's not a good example, but I think the Q stuff is because it's, them telling you one thing, or even just like you seeing something on the news and they'll tell you like you're seeing it physically happen. And then they tell you something else is actually really going on. And so you're thinking, well, maybe it's maybe it's me. Maybe I'm not seeing this right. You know what I mean? But that's how they get the population to like push other people down that same path. Like, oh no, well, you don't know what a woman is. You know what I mean? Now it's this. Anybody can have a baby. And you're just thinking, what? No, they can't. But they almost have to like dumb people down enough so that they just go, okay, yeah, you're right. And it's like, how is that ever so when you know that that's not reality? It like pushes them into a whole fictitious world that they can live in. I don't know.
Or the whole debate on the mask. You're protecting your neighbor if you wear a mask,
Right.
or no, you're
Yeah.
protecting yourself. And you know, that whole thing. And then you
Yes.
let's say you have a family and one spouse says, "Oh, we have to wear a mask." And then the other spouse acquiesces to the spouse because there's children involved and you want to preserve peace in the relationship. And you know, you have that dynamic going on. Divide and conquer. It's what happened in our
Yes.
families. So yes, dear, you know, and I'll wear the mask. And it's, you know, it's grates on my nerves, but that's just kind of the reality. But you're right. They
Yeah.
use that damn psychology and uh
And that's why they're
Well,
so
anyway.
good at it, because we fall for it, you know. Sad. But anyway, yeah.
But Michael,
Yeah.
Grace wants to tell you about her first day of kindergarten.
I was just thinking about Grace before I swear, I said, please I was going to ask you to bring her on, and I didn't even have to ask. Hello, Grace. How are you today?
Good.
That's
How are
wonderful.
you?
I'm happy now because you're here. You always
Yeah,
make me
let's
happy.
I was here sitting on Daddy's lap, watching.
Oh,
I felt
wonderful.
like I could hear her.
You are a joy. I'm always happy to talk to you. Everybody loves you. You know that,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. On Friday is my first day of school. I'm doing alone without my mother. Today was the day that I went with my mommy, with my
Yeah, you just started
mother,
school.
Maria Amelia. And then tomorrow I'm doing the stroll again, but without mommy. So
How do
yeah,
you like school, Gracie? Is it nice?
a lot, a lot.
Wonderful. What did you do? Tell us about your first day
Well,
in school.
the first thing that we did is we got in the stool and we I write my name and my last name, and then I took the picture with the big pencil, and then we standed waiting next to a sign, and then we went into my classroom, and the teacher told me like some stuff, and then mommy, she tutted out some crayon tutters, some crayon changes, like coloring. It's like we did like the craft then, and we cut out the crayon. So the number of letters we have, the number of crayons we get. So it's like it's like the paper crayons where you cut it out. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
And then once you do that, cut it out and do other stuff. And once you've done your craft, and once you've done your craft, then you can sit down inside the circle, and then they'll read your story. And then
Oh, what story did they read?
they read Getting Ready for Kindergarten. So that was the story told. Getting Ready for Kindergarten.
Did you make a
And
lot
it
of
was
good
like
new
a
friends?
It was like a nice story. And then once we read that story, once we read that story and we did the craft and did everything, then we got a glowy stick with a star on the top.
Whoa.
So yeah, and the glowy stick was sticked on the star. And then once we grabbed it, we go back home.
Did you make any friends? Michael was asking.
I made a friend with Maita.
Yeah.
Maita was my friend.
Uh-huh.
That boy, he loves Mario. That boy named Maita. So yeah, he loves Mario a lot.
That's great.
And I taught it to him, and then we went to our classroom once we taught it to him, and then we did the craft and other stuff, and yeah, we did all that stuff, and then once we were done doing all that stuff, then we went back home. And
All right.
but first, before we would go back home, we went to Sam's Clubs and we could buy stuff,
Oh.
and we could also eat a pizza.
Oh boy. That's great. So I guess
Slices of pizza.
2 slices of pizza.
Are you excited?
Oh, so you didn't bring me any.
Well, it's because
That's okay. It's a mommy grace thing. I understand.
Yeah. Well, great.
Are
I'm
you-
so happy to hear you're having fun and learning
Mommy,
stuff.
she doesn't have that much money, so yeah, she
Okay.
only got
All right.
2
Yeah,
slices of pizza.
Bidenomics, I understand, Grace.
Are you excited to go back to school tomorrow?
Yeah, I am
That'll be-
excited to go back to school tomorrow.
Good.
And I'll go back to school alone.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Yes,
Everyone
Like a
else would
big
be on
girl.
there.
Yeah,
yeah, you're
Yeah.
doing the big girl thing now, aren't you?
yeah. And I
Yeah.
came here to sing the song. So
Oh,
yeah.
please sing a
Yay.
song. Yes. What are you
To
going to
all of the
sing?
folks, to all of the people
like-
that are out there, including to you two.
Can I request
To the both
You Are
of
My
you.
Sunshine? I love it when you sing You Are My Sunshine.
Well, I'm going to sing You Are My Sunshine first, then
Okay.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and then Free Blind Mice. So 3 songs.
Yay.
Yeah.
3 songs.
Oh,
So first, You Are My Sunshine. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when stars are gray. You never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when stars are gray. You never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah.
Very nice.
Yay.
Also, and mommy also saw another one day on TikTok where it's this little boy, and he like does it like with like a play guitar,
Yeah.
like a pretend guitar, not a real one, like a one that's a toy guitar, and then he
Yeah, we watched that.
it does. Yeah, we did. We can see it again.
Well, no, go ahead.
So yeah, so now let's sing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
We're getting ready for Christmas.
That's right.
Yeah. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw him, you'd even say it glows. All of the other reindeers used to laugh and call him names. They never let poor Rudolph join in any reindeer games. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say,
I am now. Rudolph, with your nose so bright,
All right. Won't you guide
won't you
my
join my
sleigh
sleigh
I need to
tonight?
try again.
Don't
Yes.
start from the beginning. Pick it up from there.
Oh my God.
Uh,
Then
This
one
is so good.
foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Then all the reindeer loved him as he shouted out with glee, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, your time in history.
Woohoo! Very
That's
good.
more better.
Yeah, that was more better.
Yay.
That was so good.
Now we'll sing
That
the
was-
last song, which is Free Blind Mice. Free blind mice, free blind mice. See how they run, see how they run. They all. Wait, I need to try again. I went a little high.
Take two.
Rudolph,
Blind mice.
free blind mice. See how they run, see how they run. They all ran after the farmer's wife, who cut off their tails with a carving knife. Had you ever seen such a thing in your life as free blind mice? As free blind mice.
Oh, that's great.
Yay.
That is so good. Oh my gosh. Thank you for those.
Yay. And if that
All
doesn't
right,
put a
just-
smile on your face, you aren't human.
That's right. Okay, thank you, Grace.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
Bye.
Gracie.
Thank
God
you,
bless
Grace.
you.
Bye.
Bye. She's waving bye.
Oh,
All
man,
right.
you are such
She's
a
so
lucky
cute.
man, Dan. You got such
Yeah.
a beautiful child.
Yeah, but I didn't get any pizza. What the heck?
Binomics. Binomics.
My,
You should
my
write
wife
to him.
probably,
And tell-
my wife probably wasn't even going to mention it.
Oh my gosh. Don't
Oh,
tell
well.
daddy. Shh.
Oh,
yeah,
where do we
you
go
know,
from there? I mean, how can, that's what we're fighting for right there, folks. You want to know
Yeah.
what we're fighting for? That right there. If
Yeah.
every day I get up, man, that'll give me inspiration. Gracie just gave me enough inspiration to go out and fight this whole damn entire week. I mean, right there.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see her on your video screen.
Yeah, well, we're gonna see if and when that happens. The guy that's gonna fund this for me, his cancer spread to his brain now.
Oh,
And but he's a fighter. This guy is like, I'm telling you, he'll send me 8 texts today, at least. He'll call me at least twice. The guy is like, and believe me, I'm not the only guy he speaks to. He's still very active and doing a lot of different things. But so he's dealing with his health and his battle with his health right now. I think he's going to have surgery tomorrow. I thought it was going to be today on his spine.
On his brain? Oh, okay.
But no, on his, he has neuropathy real bad. And he rolls around on this wheelchair that has tank tracks on it.
Sweet.
Yeah, I know. They actually sell them. I can.
Yeah, they
probably
do.
bring it up, sure, when you go.
I've seen
And-
them. Yeah, when I was in
Yeah,
the
it's an
chair.
all-terrain wheelchair for people
Yeah,
that are
It's like a tank.
Yeah, so it can go anywhere on the beach,
Yeah.
you name it, goes, and he has one that stands up, so the
Yeah.
seat will stand you up. So,
Wow.
and he's trying to get
They
me
have some
involved
pretty
in
cool
selling
chairs.
that too, but I'm so busy doing, and if I can, once I get this rig together, but then I won't have to edit videos. And I only have to be on the street for like maybe 3 hours, because 3 hours of live streaming would be enough, putting on a show. And then I would free up my time where I could do other things too. But the rig itself is going to be, if I can get it together, it's all in God's hands, but I'm looking at just about the time it looks like everything's going to collapse. I'll have the rig get put together. I won't even be able to go on the streets with it. So, God,
what are you thinking?
doing?
Are you thinking to park the thing and just run it? Have it like running video?
Yeah,
What-
but
I'm
no, I want to, yeah, I'm going to have it. I'm going to park, but I got to be there because, who the hell knows what's going to happen to it. Right.
Right.
So, and I'm going to be having a higher body, security, because I can't watch it all. And also plan on like, let's say even, let's say, even put Patriot Soapbox live on the street so people could ask questions directly from the street to you or any other buddy that's on there.
Yeah.
So I could have guests that come on, then they'd be on the screen and we could live, Alex Jones here live on the street in New Orleans today, right? Or, Candace St. Owens on the street today, or Lady Liberty straight from San Diego on the street telling you what's going on at the border in San Diego, and so people could, this would be like having a big TV screen on the street and being able to look up instantly, articles and newscasts or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because to me, and Audra will back this up, but the streets are the battleground.
Yeah.
The streets is where you need to reach the people that need to be reached. I mean, going to meetings, even being here, we're talking to people for the most part that are already, these people already know stuff. They know what's going on. It's preaching to the choir. We need to reach, where did Jesus go? Jesus, people always ask me, what in the hell are you doing in New Orleans? I said, well, did Jesus go where people were already saved? I mean, New Orleans is one of the most demonic places on the face of the earth. This place is a liberal cesspool of sex and drugs and,
All the
alcohol.
debauchery. Yeah.
Child sex trafficking and you name it, it's here. You can walk around the city and you'll see the demonic crap all over the place. So, why am I here? Why would I go someplace where everybody agrees with me? That's no fun. So, I'm here. And so, to have this thing here and then be able to reach the people on the street, because on a slow day, a really slow day, I'm going to have 2,000 people walk by me. So on an average day, I'm getting, 10,000 people walk by me. So how many more could I change minds with a 6x4 or 8x6 LED screen blasting out the truth all day?
Yeah.
Where you can interact with it.
Yeah. I think people on the street would be really into that.
Yeah. Plus live streaming it. So millions, I mean, I don't know how you'd watch it, but I can't imagine it wouldn't be popular. And of course I wouldn't be the only master of ceremonies. I'm planning on having, a couple of cute little chicks out there in red, white, and blue bikinis. That'd be nice. I mean,
then you won't get any work done.
Yeah. But making a show of it, making it, doing it right, doing the street theater right, and being able to interact the street theater with the power of the internet to reach people that need to be reached. Which to me is it would take, and then I'd want to franchise this so I can have one in every city or more than one. Just spread them out. So we reach the people that need to be reached that are on the street. These are the people we need to reach.
Yeah.
So,
The Staples cashier.
The normies, to get them to, to realize what the hell's going on here? What's that? And then to stand there just to listen to a 6-minute, Craig Reese video will change their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want to do. And I hope, I pray to God, and I need your prayers, that this gets done. And, and I'm praying pray for Omar, the man who's putting it together, that's funding this. He's a good man. He's a fighter to the max. And well, I tell you, because I'm telling what I'm doing is getting old. I get home now and I go, well, I have to siphon through, my videos, because to try to compete with the news now, what's going on is getting harder and harder. It used to be I could put up a video about, people talking about the COVID and whatnot. It would get thousands and thousands of views. Now everybody's seen that. They know that. I talk to nurses out there all the time, doctors all the time. When I go out on the street, I could put up several videos every time I go out on the, oh, they're talking about the jab being poisoned and they didn't take it and who died and what happened there. We already know all this stuff. All right. But when you're on the street, when I'm on the street and this be like a whole new, then you get to see in real time and real action, the reaction, because people only get to see about 5% of my interactions out there on the street. I mean, you only get the rest of them, which a lot of them are good, just wonderful encounters, but they don't last that long. Sometimes I can't hardly get the cameras on before people can. But when it's live stream, you get to see it happen in real time. And that magic is insane because there are times out there that there's a rhythm or a groove or something that happens. And I just think my thought was, I wish more people could be here to witness this, what's happening right now. And with live streaming, you can do that. And be able to go ahead and multiply the effect. Then I'll probably use it gets bigger because I'm going to have to pick different venues because once it takes off, it's going to take off. It's going to be, I'm going to be on Joe Rogan. I might outdo him. Who knows? Because this is something no one else has ever done. And it's a technology that's there. And so why not do it? And I'm always looking for things that people don't do. I'm always going places doing things that people have never done before. I go, why the hell not? Why aren't you doing this? Then I go in, sometimes I find out it's wrong because I get damaged. Well, now I know why they didn't do it. But I don't know why anybody, when I first went out of the street and found out that, I'm not getting killed out here. I'm getting support. I think
it's fun. It's exciting, right?
Yes. I think you guys have heard the first time I ever went out of the street with my bike with a sign on the back. All it said was Obama is Bush on steroids. And I figured I'm going to get run off the road, And the car slams on its brakes. I wasn't out 10 minutes. Car slams on its brakes and backs up. And, I look in and the woman rolls down her window. It's a middle-aged black lady. And I'm going, oh, shit. I go, oh, no. What? She goes, that's what I've been saying. I've been saying that too. Obama's Bush on steroids. And the fear just went away. I said, that's it. I'm taking my artwork to the street. And I didn't look back. So, as I said, confront these people, face your fear, go out there and do it. So that's why I want to take this to the max. I found out this is okay. When I get this thing together, it's going to make national news. It'll make world news. Because it's going to hit at the very essence and soul of what the elites are trying to do. They're trying to take us over, and I'm going to stop them from doing that. I'm going to put a wrench in their works. I'm going to slow their machine up. I'm going to stop it. Or die trying. And I think this is one of the ways it can be done. This is like Elon Musk on steroids. To be out there on the streets and to thousands of people a day. How many more people would stop by and listen to my rig when it's got, the letters streaming around the top, and then a big screen with something very interesting and pertinent to their lives blasting out? How many more people would stop and listen? As to me, just having those posters up and a cardboard cutout of, Donald Trump.
So if 100 people walk past you in a given time period, how many stop?
Oh,
now.
That's hard to gauge in the sense, I could give you a guesstimate because I could be out there for an hour. It's like poker. Nothing happens for an hour. All of a sudden it's sudden panic. And I'm surrounded by a dozen people, right? But it depends on who's in town, what, you know, what conventions are in town. Is there, you know, is there a cruise ship in town, right? Or two. Is there a festival going on? I mean, during French Quarter Festival, I will have 60,000 people walk by me in one day.
Wow.
So 3 days out there, that's what? 180,000 people will walk by my rig.
Mm-hmm.
On an average weekend, I'm probably looking at 30,000 people. 10,000 a day. You know, during an average, like, you know, fall or spring weekend, because that's when most of the people are out on the streets, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So and then I mean, and then I'm toying, once I get this built, of taking this. They have like an amphitheater kind of a thing at Jackson Square. So it's stairs and right right across the street from Jackson Square. And people often sit in that, on those stairs. So it's like it's like a, you know, Coliseum amphitheater. And a lot of times performers will perform in that open space there. So once I get this rig working, I plan on taking it down there, because then I can see, you know, like, I don't know, 1,000 people, right, up here, plus the people that are walking by, right, and the people that we could be up on the top, on the platform on the top that's part of the Riverwalk. So there would be another 500 or 600 or more that could stand up there and watch. So, you know, it's going to be mobile, so I can take it put in front of City Hall. You know,
Yeah.
right? So it's mobile, so I'll be able to take it where I want to take it. You know, if there's a parade in town, I can just go down the street with the damn thing blasted away.
Yeah.
Right?
Enter the parade, sure.
Yeah, which I've done before with my current rig, and
Huh.
the cops would chase me off, you know, and right. But I've done that before. I've just joined into other parades.
That's great.
100,000 people all over the place, and I'm just, you know, here I come along with my stupid stuff. So that's the thing about it. It's the streets, it's the people, and I think this is the ultimate. And I wish I would have had this together. Can you imagine if I had this thing together like 6 or 7 years ago when I first dreamt it up? When I first thought about it, when the
Right.
technology started coming into play where it could be done, where we would be
There's-
today if I did this
there's-
6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, there's no question the video will attract more eyes and more attention. You
I
know,
got it. Matter of fact, I wonder if I could I'm gonna take a little time to dig it up, but when I first built my first rig, and I just did it myself, right? And it was just no more than, I mean, it was no bigger than maybe 4 foot by 3 foot wide. But I put a projection camera in the back of it. And I took it out to Jackson Square, and I projected documentaries on the side of the St. Louis Cathedral while mask was on. And it was cool because, I mean, it was like, it'd be a big screen up. I mean, it was about, you know, 10 foot, right? Like, and I'd be showing documentary up there, right? And the cops that could be on their horseback, and they didn't blink an eye. They didn't give a crap. I didn't see, like, who was I disturbing, right? None of the people from the church came out and told me I couldn't do it. You know, people from the congregation come out and look at me and look at that and go, walk back in, you know. So I've tried this before. I've tried as much. One time during the that stuff, that must be out of my mind. I ain't crazy. The Super Bowl was here, which is coming again. Right. And the Super Bowl was here. So I was thinking about going up to the Jack's Brewery and just letting loose a bunch of balloons with messages on them, and let them just, because they out of Jackson Square, they would have the live ESPNs going on, giving their stuff on the street. Right? So they had like platforms up, and they were doing the whole show out there in public. So I figured letting balloons loose and letting these balloons fly over, just float down over everybody with messages on them and float past the cameras live, I thought would be real cool.
Yeah.
So I was
It's rigged. I'm just kidding. The game is rigged. No.
I know. I
With
forget what
wasting your money.
message I was going to do. 9/11's an inside job. I don't know what the hell I was doing. Everything. Just put up different messages on there that would, just screw people up, right?
Perfect
So
thought, yeah.
I'm always thinking of ways I can try to defeat these evil bastards. And, so I just keep on plugging away, and I think this is the best idea I've ever had. And I just pray that I can get it done and get it out there.
Yeah, well, let's hope Omar makes it through. And thanks be to God for a guy like that to step forward and say, "Hey, we can fund this."
Right? These guys are real angels. Okay.
Well, hey, Audra and Michael, you have, congratulations. You've eaten up 2 hours of showtime here. I'm ready to pass the baton to the next two, Big Lee and Patriotsky. It's Patriotsky's Tavern. It's coming up.
I can't thank you enough for allowing us to be on, Dan. Sometimes, I don't feel like some days you feel packed with like knowledge and stuff you need to get out. And I felt that way this week. And you've allowed me to go ahead and expend some of that energy. And I really only stuck around because Audra was sticking around. And
Yeah.
as long as she's around, I'm here.
Yeah, you make it easy to stick around, Audra.
Okay. Just shut up and sit there. I'm just kidding. Thank you for Grace. Grace was such a grace. She brought grace to us. That was so sweet. It was a treat. It was worth it.
You bet. My honor. All right.
God bless everybody.
Patriotsky, God bless you too. Yeah, Patriotsky, it's all yours, brother.
All right, great conversation, guys. Need to do more of this. Definitely need to do more of this. But it is time to open up the tavern, so we'll get started with that. Let's do it.
Welcome to my tavern. I'm your host, Patriotsky. Chair and let's talk about it.
All right, we got our chairs pulled up, and welcome one and all, and welcome to Dawn Finchy and Big Lee. How are you guys today?
Great. I'm loving the weather. It's cooling off.
Oh, yeah, it's even kind of cool here, actually. I was surprised. At any rate, how's weather on the islands there, Big Lee?
Oh, we got a high wind today, so I had to go find some place to shelter without the wind noise blasting the microphone. And we got a hurricane coming our way, so.
Oh, wow.
I'd hoped to drive to my other home and be on the PC, but now I got to prep for potential really high wind. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I understand. I can relate to high winds. Well, we've got a little bit of a confab going on down at the southern border in in Cochise County, Arizona. President Trump looks like he's about ready to arrive, so we got that queued up. Going to be kind of interesting. The RSBN folks were interviewing Abe Hamadeh just a moment or so ago, we'll see what he's got to say. And oh, by the way, I also heard that Trump will be doing live commentary during Kamala Harris's acceptance speech tonight on I guess it's the new deal on Truth Social. What do you think?
Oh, that's going to be epic.
Oh yeah. So keep that in mind. Check
Wonder
it out.
who will get the better ratings.
Yeah. Speaking of ratings, as we await Trump, looks like he's getting ready to appear right in just a moment. The ratings, for at least for day one of the DNC, and now they didn't do in 2020 because of the scamdemic. There were no ratings. It was all virtual, I guess. But compared to 2016, their ratings, according to Nielsen, are down 22%.
Well,
so
ouch.
But nobody's watching these people.
As it should be.
Indeed, indeed. Well, let's zip on over to Cochise County and check in on what's going on there. So here we go. Get a little volume.
Southern border as President Trump is getting that look. He talks about this a lot in his speeches. He says, I've got miles and miles of wall that I've built, but also, you see it right there.
Yeah, there
that is the
like
wall that
there.
President Trump has not been built yet. The steel for that wall. So he's getting a real close look at that right now. And of course, we'll be spending some time with a number of American families that have lost loved ones due to this terrible open border problem that has brought in a lot of crime, has brought in fentanyl, has brought in more than 10 million illegal immigrants from the southern border. On top of that, the possibility of non-citizens voting in our U.S. general elections some 74 days away. Mike Fortin, your thoughts right now, sir, as you see President Trump. You might not see him from your vantage point. I know it's the camera zoomed in, but what is it like to be there where President Trump has always talked about this southern border and the wall that he has built?
Well, to see him on site of something that he himself has been personally responsible for, I cannot see him. I cannot see him from my vantage point where I am. But I can tell you that, knowing that he's put so much, sweat equity into getting this wall built and really just doing his best to stymie these illegal immigration efforts. It'll be great. One of the things that I expect today is for President Trump to deliver very passionate remarks. Again, one thing that he stood on since day one of his presidency and throughout this run is illegal immigration. And we've seen what it's done to the country. We've seen what it's done to states like New York and California and notably Texas and Arizona. Obviously there's everywhere you go along the border issues, whether it's the actual illegal immigration itself, whether it's the drug crisis the cartels bringing in fentanyl, or human trafficking, which I personally don't believe we hear enough about. But to be here and really hear more about the horrors of the fentanyl crisis and the human trafficking, which was tragic earlier when I was talking to law enforcement. So I really look forward to hearing him give an impassioned and bold speech here in Cochise County at the border.
And be quick while he's not. Mike, I hear you loud and clear. And then you see President Trump in the center of your screen right now. This broadcast brought to you by Free Trump Book, freetrumpbook.com. If you're looking to get the reversal of all of the indoctrination from some school districts out there with the youth, the Free Trump Book is something that helps paint the correct picture of the truth of what really happened under the first President Trump administration. And also there's a number of other topics that are topics with these books that you can get at the freetrumpbook.com. Including American greatness and fighting socialism and other topics. So always good to have a product like that. So it's freetrumpbook.com. All right, so President Trump on his Truth Social account said something about today's visit, and I'm going to get to that right here. He said, quote, "Today I am going to inspect the southern border and to meet with the victims whose loved ones were attacked and murdered by illegal aliens set free into America by Comrade Kamala Harris, the radical left Democrat presidential candidate who didn't receive one vote and in her earlier attempt to win against crooked Joe Biden was the first one out of 22 people to quit the race and never made it to the first state, Iowa. All right, so that post continues to go on there, but talking about Comrade Kamala Harris, or Kamala, however you want to announce the first name there, Kamala, that's how I've said it. Comrade Kamala Harris will bring in hundreds of thousands more illegal alien rapists, drug dealers, and killers. But President Donald J. Trump will keep these same people out of our country and send them back to their countries where they belong. I will keep America safe. So as you see there, President Trump shaking hands of people from the area, meeting families, also speaking with various local law enforcement right now as you are watching live coverage here as President Trump visits the southern border in Cochise County. This one of many stops this week for the president. J.D. Vance also touring the country. Tomorrow, President Trump will have a huge rally in Glendale. Prior to that, a stop in Las Vegas. But the story of the day right here, the truth teller, President Trump, the common sense president there on the southern border is something Harris has done maybe once under the Harris-Biden administration. So as you guys know, a lot of lies on the left from the DNC in Chicago all week. They all sound like they're true, but they're not. That's just twisting the truth. And that's what they've been saying about the 45th president all week, mentioning his name. Mike, as you know, Mike Fortin live there in Cochise County. I mean, can you believe it? 314 times they've used President Trump